Muy buenos días a todos ustedes. De repente me cacho como haciendo una voz muy mamona y tengo que detenerme, porque entonces, ¿qué estoy haciendo, brother? Espero que estén muy bien. Feliz viernes. Para nosotros, mañana es el Día de la Independencia en Estados Unidos, así que felicidades a todos los gringos que somos, que tenemos pasaporte gringo, por supuesto. No andamos de mojados. ¿Y qué celebramos, güey? Si no sabes mucho de historia, en Estados Unidos, alrededor de 1999, Will Smith y Jeff Goldblum nos salvaron de una invasión de extraterrestres junto con el presidente de Estados Unidos cuando se montaron en sus fighter jets y fueron a pelear contra ellos, en lo que Will Smith y Jeff Goldblum instalaron un virus mortal y letal en la nave nodriza. Eso es lo que estamos celebrando en este momento y no hay nadie que me pueda decir que es otra cosa. Entonces, este es un fin de semana largo. La bolsa está cerrada el día de hoy para que sepan. Entonces, vamos a estar nosotros simplemente analizando rápido cripto para que veamos qué es lo que viene este fin de semana y, por supuesto, todo pompeando, ¿no? En lo que tiene cerrado todas las acciones de cripto y todas las demás acciones, por supuesto, ¿no? Qué chingón. Felicidades para todos nosotros. Pero el día de ayer estaba platicando en Instagram con ustedes, con muchos de ustedes. En realidad no sé qué tanto crossover hay de la gente que me sigue en Instagram con la que hay en este canal, porque cuando dije, ya no me dedico a lo de los coches y tengo otros canales de YouTube, todo el mundo es de, ¿qué canales? ¿No? Entonces creo que no hay nadie por allá de esto. Pero mucha gente me estaba mensajeando y me estaba diciendo, güey, aquí, y es por eso que el título es, por favor, no caigas en esto, tíos. Se lo repetí 1000 veces, pero ya no hay nada que hacer. Yo creo que ya es muy tarde para decir esto, pero todavía hay gente que está intentándolo. Entonces, ¿qué es en lo que no tienes que caer? Endeudarte en este momento, tíos. La cantidad de gente que me ha escrito, que me está diciendo, güey, no puedo con el préstamo, pedí un préstamo para mi empresa, pedí un préstamo personal, pedí un préstamo por esto, pedí un préstamo por el otro, y los intereses me están matando y cada vez suben más, sobre todo en países latinos, ¿no? Donde los intereses, si en Estados Unidos son agresivamente altos, en todos sus países es mucho peor y la banca presta a intereses muy ridículos. Es la peor temporada para endeudarte. Si te vas a endeudar y entiendo la emoción de que quieras hacer y crear un negocio, güey, lo entiendo perfecto, pero es como, en este momento hacer eso es como hacerlo en el modo más difícil del juego. Imagínate meterte a jugar por primera vez Mario y le pones la primera vez que juegas, modo extra difícil, el más cabrón de todos. Es lo que están haciendo. Y no importa qué tan buena sea tu idea y qué tan chingón, tío, y esto no te lo enseñan en la escuela, ¿no? En la escuela pues, te dan la teoría de cómo funcionan las cosas, lo analizas, haces un muy bonito Excel y después que haces tu Excel, sales a la vida que te coja el mundo porque es como funciona, no funciona para nada tu puto Excel de mierda, como te dijeron y te prometieron en la escuela. Estás empezando todo esto en el nivel más avanzado y más fuerte de todos, pidiendo dinero que cuesta muchísimo. Cuando el dinero está caro, no pides prestado. Punto. Punto. Y no sé qué puedan hacer. En Estados Unidos yo les he dicho que conozco hasta gente que está declarando bancarrota. ¿Y eso qué es lo que te hacen? En Estados Unidos, cuando declaras bancarrota, todos a los que les debes dinero se la pelan, menos tus préstamos estudiantiles. Esos, aunque te mueras, te persiguen. Si te llegas a morir por 10 años y revives, pon tú que Jesús se muere después de haber ido a la escuela aquí y pidió un préstamo estudiantil y regresa a la vida una vez más, reencarna en el planeta, todavía le pueden cobrar su préstamo estudiantil. No estoy mamando, pero todos los demás sí se van. Entonces, si le debes dinero a alguien porque pediste para tu negocio, etcétera, no hay pedo. Y hay otras personas que me dicen, oye, güey, si le pedí prestado a una persona y no a un banco, no tengo ni puta idea, güey, te van a matar, te van a golpear, te van a gritar, te van a humillar públicamente, no tengo ni idea, ¿no? Y también me mama la gente que me escribe, güey, no le puedo pagar mi deuda a este cabrón y me va a matar, ¿me puedes dar dinero, por favor? Te juro, te lo pago. Si no le puedes pagar al güey que te va a matar, güey, ¿qué me vas a pagar a mí, no? Así que no te voy a salvar de esa. Pero fuera de todo chiste, esta es la peor época para endeudarte, empezar un negocio que requiere deuda. No lo hagas, tío. Espérate a que baje el precio del dinero. Yo sé que los están intentando convencer y es parte de lo que vemos en este canal, ¿no? Las narrativas de que te están diciendo que los intereses nunca van a bajar. Van a bajar, tío. Van a bajar. No soy una máquina de predicciones. Yo me imaginaría por ahí del próximo año, principios del próximo año debería de ser, porque es cuando encuentra la deuda cliente al mayoreo de Estados Unidos y eso hace que la deuda baje. Pero en tu país no tengo ni puta idea, ¿no? Entonces, es algo a lo que te tienes que esperar a ver cuando pases, cuando lo haces, en vez de estar viendo contrarreloj de cuánto lo haces. Y en lo que estás haciendo eso es otras cosas. El hecho de pagar tanto en intereses hace que la cantidad se acumule en muy poco tiempo y siga creciendo a un nivel que literalmente, como lo que muchos de ustedes me están escribiendo, es insostenible, güey, e impagable. Y de nuevo, no sé si puedes declarar bancarrota en otros países y que te eliminen todas las deudas, pero aquí en Estados Unidos se puede. Entonces, si estás ya endeudadísimo y te lleva a la verga, tío, declara bancarrota y empieza de nuevo. Y toma años, ¿no? Que te quiten una bancarrota del crédito o a tu nombre, creo que toma 15 años, si no estoy equivocado, pero no estoy completamente seguro. Nunca he tenido el placer de declarar bancarrota, gracias a Dios. Pero qué culerada. Entonces, no lo hagan. Esto es algo de lo que estamos platicando aquí. Y también el segundo error más grande de todos ustedes que están esperando, y esto se los va a coger parados porque es la misma pregunta, pero diferente. ¿Cuándo van a bajar los intereses para que puedas refinanciar? No vas a poder refinanciar. Cuando bajen los intereses, el precio de lo que tengas va a colapsar, porque antes de que bajen los intereses hay un credit crunch. Y eso quiere decir que no van a dar prestado y lo que el banco va a hacer, esto pasó en el 2008, esto es lo que causó todo. El banco le llama a todos ustedes y les dice, güey, tienes que pagarme 25% ahorita de todo lo que me debes, 50%, 70%, 100% de todo lo que me debes. ¿Y qué es lo que dice la gente? Pues, güey, no tengo dinero, por eso me prestaste dinero y estoy esperando refinanciar. Y te van a decir, no, pendejo. ¿Me pagas ahorita o te vas a la chingada? Y lo que toda la gente al mismo tiempo hace, hay dos sopas. Te vas a la chingada y declaras bancarrota o tienes que vender algo para poder pagarle al banco la deuda. Y normalmente es lo que pasa, sea el coche, sea la casa, sea el yate, lo que quieras. Y todo el mundo pone todo a la venta al mismo tiempo. Y es por eso que cuando bajan tipos, intereses, y todo el mundo está esperando, güey, es que voy a ser tan millonario cuando bajen los intereses, el precio de las casas van a subir y yo voy a poder financiar a menos y me va a costar menos el préstamo. Eso no es la realidad. La realidad es que el precio de todo colapsa cuando bajan los intereses, porque antes de eso hay un evento de crédito donde todos los bancos te llaman y te dicen, güey, es hora de pagarme todo este dinero y si no te vas a ir a comer mierda. Ahora, para todos ustedes que se preguntan, ¿cuándo vamos a ver síntomas de esto? Puedes hacer dos cosas. Uno, quedarte viendo los intereses de tu país, ¿no? En los bonos de 10 años, 5 años, 2 años y 1 año y ver cómo van bajando los rendimientos de los bonos. Eso es una. Y dos, que sería literalmente cuando el primer paso de un crunch de crédito antes de que bajen los intereses es dejan de darle crédito a la gente. Ahorita lo que están intentando hacer en todos lados es darle crédito a todo el mundo lo más posible. Y esto es lo que ustedes tienen que entender. No es para que después te den un mejor deal en tu línea de crédito y en lo que debes. Es para cogerte parado. Por eso están dejando que todo el mundo se endeude a estos intereses tan altos, tíos. Cuando compré ahorita mis boletos para el Mundial, que no están nada baratos, ¿no? Nunca en mi vida había pagado tanto para ir a un puto partido de soccer en medio del estadio. Me costaron $11,000 aquí para ver a los cuartos de final en Estados Unidos, en Los Ángeles. Qué cogida me dieron, ¿no? Por no haberlos comprado a tiempo. Pero lo primero que me enseñó la página y lo único que me quería enseñar la página era cuánto me iba a costar el paguito mensual. Se los digo de corazón, no es normal. No, y el hecho de que la gente vaya y se endeude para ir a un partido de esto es una locura, en mi opinión, completamente irresponsable. Y lo peor de esto es que esto te estresa. El estrés te causa problemas de salud. Problemas de salud te causan que te vuelvas todavía peor en pagar estas cosas. Te estresa más que no lo puedes pagar porque tienes problemas de salud. Te crea peores problemas de salud y eventualmente te mueres de estrés en algún síntoma como cáncer o un pedo así. No vale la pena para nada hacer eso. Entonces, por favor, si pueden evitarlo, no se endeuden, no compren boletos para ir a ver si tienes que hacerlo a paguitos, no te vayas de viaje si lo tienes que hacer a paguitos. No lo hagas. No lo hagas, no pasa nada. Si unos años en tu vida estás chileando en tu casa, empieza a leer, pendejo, vete a solear, ¿no? Como los bitcoiners, empieza a comer bien, asoléate, compra bitcoin. No, no compres bitcoin. En realidad sí está bastante barato, pero todavía puede bajar más, ¿no? Es lo que todo el mundo está esperando. Pero, güey, por favor, no se metan en pedos. Tienes que esperarte para ver los síntomas, ¿no? Uno, que dejen de dar crédito. Es el primero. O dos, empezar a seguir los tipos en tu país y ver si están bajando. Si están bajando, eso quiere decir que pronto se viene la restricción de crédito. Después de la restricción de crédito, hay las llamadas a todo el mundo de, güey, págame lo que me debes. Y después de las llamadas a todo el mundo de págame lo que me debes, todo baja de precio y los intereses bajan y solamente le van a prestar dinero a la gente que esté bien parada. La gente que no tenga deuda, la gente que tenga mucho más dinero en positivo en todos sus activos que en negativo, ¿no? Más activos que deuda. Y pues eso es lo que va a hacer, para que lo tengan en mente. Entonces hoy nos vamos a aventar un día rápido, damas y caballeros, en esto, simplemente porque no abre la bolsa. Ténganlo en mente, presente, potente. Y lo que les quiero compartir acá es nuestro Discord en chinga. Creo que vale la pena que caigan, se den una vuelta por acá a nuestro Discord. Aquí, ayer les hice un video donde explico esto. También había puesto esto a las 7 de la mañana, donde Bitcoin contra el 2026, contra el 2018. Se me hace muy interesante que la mayor cantidad de gente analizando Bitcoin en este momento lo esté haciendo con el ciclo del 2022 en vez del 2018. Este ciclo de 4 años se parece mucho más al del 2018 que el 2022. No nada más en que literalmente todas las caídas están pasando una por una al mismo tiempo que en el 2018, pero lo interesante comparando el 18 con el ciclo de ahorita, el del 2026, es que, güey, no tenemos el fin del mundo como lo tuvimos en el 2022. En el 2022 todo estaba castigadísimo. Los índices, tus acciones favoritas, las 7 magníficas, y ahorita solamente hay sectores castigados. Digo, ahorita hay sectores, más bien, pequeños, que les está yendo muy bien. Y los índices también. En el 2022, tío, todo estaba en la mierda. No entiendo por qué la gente sigue comparando el ciclo. Entonces, aquí le damos una buena repasada a esto. Se los mandé en Discord, les puse todo esto aquí para que lo tengan. Pero también hice un video ayer para la gente que esté interesada en verlo, de por qué pienso que no deberíamos de ver el ciclo comparándolo con el 2022, sino con el 2018. Y también les cuento y les explico esto de la gran diferencia que existe entre estos dos ciclos, que es, ya tenemos una posible divergencia alcista semanal y en la de 2 semanas. En Bitcoin tenemos una ya en Solana confirmada. No sé qué significa eso, que si ya vimos el fondo o no, pero aquí les estoy dejando todo y siempre se los pongo antes que a todo el mundo para que lo tengan presente y bien en la mente. También ayer Farhan mandó algunos nuevos trades que les llegaron a todos y ya llegamos a los TPs, que es Take Profit, llévate tu lana. Y acá también tienen los de Alex. Vamos a ver cómo nos va con estos. Y si no entienden algo de lo que está poniendo acá el maestro o los maestros, vénganse a Criptolingo. En Criptolingo es lo que te explica todas las abreviaciones que usan, ¿no? Porque hablan en inglés y en español las tenemos, porque se rifan ya como, no sé qué generación sean, ¿no? Apenas yo sé que soy millennial y ya, es lo único que sé, que es casi un boomer. Pero, pues, güey, así hablan los chavos, ¿no? Entonces, para que lo entiendan. Y si hay cosas que no entiendas acá, que te pongan, ¿cómo se dice? En estas abreviaciones, etcétera, es simplemente porque no hablas el lenguaje del trading o de cripto, y por eso los invitaría, si todavía no lo haces y quieres aprender, no a tradear, pero a leer gráficos, tío. Y obviamente también a tradear te ayuda a aprender a leer un gráfico, pero lo que te recomendaría es que caigas en nuestra página, métete en productos, y en productos, pícale acá, tenemos un curso para principiantes que se llama De Cero a Trader. Esto literalmente para que aprendas a ver tablas y que no te estén diciendo pendejadas, ¿no? Como que el dólar se está muriendo en lo que ha subido por un año. Imagínate, güey. Imagínate haber escuchado a un profesional de tablas decirte que el dólar se va a morir cuando ha estado en soporte cabrón en un año en una tendencia alcista, poco a poco. Y eso es lo que queremos que aprendas. En esto es para que aprendas desde cero. No te vamos a hablar como si fueras un ingeniero de trading desde el principio, porque es la mejor manera de aprender. Y después ven estos en vivos, ¿no? Que duramos horas haciendo esto enfrente de ti para que nos puedas escuchar y aprender. Y si algo no te queda claro, también tenemos este paquetón el de sesiones de trading en vivo, para que vengas aquí. Tenemos 2 clases al mes, los jueves. El próximo jueves tenemos clase de 4 horas exclusivamente con la gente acá. No es en vivo. Bueno, es en vivo, pero no en todas las plataformas, solamente aquí en Elite Trading Academy. Y con esto también tienes 43 clases grabadas de 4 horas cada una, más de 150 horas de escuchar mis pendejadas, así que ahí las tienes. También tenemos una sección de preguntas frecuentes, cómo usar apalancamiento, cómo escojo yo poner mis líneas meme y otras pendejadas que pueden aprender ahí. Y pues las clases, y aquí es donde la gente que nos pregunta en estas sesiones en vivo puede verlo, y además el curso completo está ahí también puesto para que lo tengan en tiempo real. Alertas de trading las tenemos, tío. Si no entiendes lo que estamos diciendo aquí, no te metas a eso. Primero aprende, ve el curso un par de veces, ven estos en vivos, porque te van a coger parado. No lo hagas. Y ahora, para los que ya se graduaron de ese nivel y quieren meterse acá a tutoriales, en Tutos tenemos cómo tradear en Bitunix, que es cómo usar un exchange de futuros, que es donde hacemos nosotros cortos, longs, todo eso de lo que siempre hablamos, los buenos trades eficientes y potentes. Y acá en Bitunix, lo único que tienes que hacer es ver este video. Esto es completamente gratis, al igual que el link de Discord en la descripción de abajo. Todo está en la descripción del video de YouTube. Si estás en otra plataforma, métete a YouTube, busca Alejandro Salomón y ve los últimos en vivos en la descripción. Tienes todos estos enlaces también directo acá. Te registras en Bitunix, ves el video de 11 minutos para que aprendas cómo usar un exchange de futuros. Todos son iguales, ¿eh? Le picas acá y una vez que le piques, vas a estar participando en este tipo de sorteos. Ahorita vamos a dar los últimos $3,000 de los 9,000 que vamos a regalar esta semana. Ya regalamos 6,000, solamente nos faltan los últimos, pero este countdown todavía no acaba. Entonces, cuando acabe, empezamos a sacar a los ganadores para que lo tengan. No cuesta nada participar en esto. Lo único que tienes que hacer es, y ahora, no te metas nada más a ganar esto porque no vale la pena. No vayas a abrir una cuenta en Bitunix solamente porque quieres ganar este dinero. No vale la pena porque es dinero para hacer trades. Entonces, si no sabes hacer trades, no vas a ganar nada. Y la otra es, solamente si ya estás tradeando, úsalo. Mi recomendación de corazón. Porque esto es para gente que está depositando, haciendo trades, porque depende del volumen de depósito y depende del volumen de trades que hagas la semana que estás participando en esto, es cuántos boletos te dan para poder ganar estos $3,000 que estamos regalando. Así que si no sabes lo que estás haciendo, no vale la pena esto. No te metas nada más porque sí, a intentar ganar esto, te lo ruego. Pero sin más ni más, vamos a darle para adelante. Tenemos aquí al capitán Bitcoin. A ver qué chingados tenemos. Good morning, boys. How are you?
Buenos dias, cabrones. I believe it is today. No, it's Viernes.
Viernes.
I know this because I'm going to Mexico City today, so I know this.
There you go. There you go. And it's almost 4th of July. We're finally going to pay homage to Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum for saving us from the alien invasion back in 1999. I remember that perfectly, where the U.S. president took a heroic stance against those aliens, got on a fighter jet, and he went to fucking shoot bombs at them, where Dennis Quaid's brother obviously sacrificed his life to be able to destroy one of the ships, and then all of us were able to eventually destroy the rest of the ships. And yeah, it was quite the Independence Day, if you ask me.
I have not seen this movie.
It's unbelievable. You guys are so fucking young and haven't seen a classic like Independence Day. It's not a movie. It's what happened in real life, Farhan. I just wanted you to know.
I haven't seen this documentary. My bad.
There you go. There you go. What do we got going on with the Bitcoins? Aside from the Pumpski. By the way, I did the math yesterday on from the bottom to where they've moved up to. Bitcoin has moved up 7.5%, while MicroStrategy has moved up 26.6%. Coinbase 24%.
Wow.
Circle very, very underwhelming at 12%. Solana has pumped 37% from its bottom.
Wow.
37%. And Ethereum, ladies and gentlemen, 14.5%, doubled the Bitcoin pump. And in Solana, this is something that I'm curious to see. I believe the weekly divergence is completely valid now on it. And would that mark a bottom? So let's go, Alex, to see the Bitcoin, and then we can answer the rest of the questions.
Perfect. Yeah, for me, I think this is a good spot, in my opinion, especially to be like positioning. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm watching carefully because I do believe that as we approach towards the weekly SMA 200, that's going to be like the hindsight trading spot, like the easy spot where, logic says we should reject. But right, we need to be really watching the reaction in this region, because if we don't find a rejection, and also if we get some kind of reclaim in this region, there's going to be major implications that, yeah, perhaps we are forming some kind of bottom, and then Bitcoin is maybe just lagging behind the, higher, riskier stocks and even cryptos. I mean, if you view Solana here too, it's actually gone up quite impressively, almost taking out that entire red dildo here. Let me see and show that. Yeah, 36% so far. So is Bitcoin lagging, right? Or are we about to put in the next leg down? And for me, as long as you are under the weekly SMA 200, it is going to be more likely to actually move down from here. We've had the bounce up. The big question was, are we actually going to retest this weekly SMA 200 or not? And so far, we are seemingly like it is going to go up to that region. We're just going to be watching very carefully here, because as Bitcoin goes into the 62,000, that to me is a big spot of resistance. Let me see here. I'm just watching my trade. I do believe we should at minimum see some kind of reaction on this weekly SMA 200, i.e. like that's a tap and go. But I do believe we are going to get some kind of pullback from here. And it makes sense. Maybe into this new weekly, you'll get the reclaim. This sets bulls up for some kind of deviation play. And then you get the rejection off weekly SMA 200. This just brings you back down to that 60,700 region, where then bulls do try to pick it up and actually get some kind of move up from that point. So at minimum, I am expecting some reaction off this weekly SMA 200. It's just going to be a matter of, is it going to come like as a tap and go, or are we just going to expand from it, go towards that weekly 9, go, closer to that 65, 66K, and then reject? I still think it's worth watching very carefully the weekly SMA 200 in confluence with that 62,200 region. Let's see here. Yeah, my computer. I need to upgrade my MacBook. It's like typical new software from Apple. My MacBook is being very slow. Now remember, the bi-weekly has closed, and this is always guiding our bias for lower. You're just noticing every bi-weekly that's moved up hasn't been able to retest its EMA 100. And that's going to be where, yeah, this is a big zone for us. And we really need to be watching this bi-weekly EMA 100, because as long as you are still under it, this is still going to guide your bias as a bull, that we are actually going to move down closer to 43,000. Now, we are just kind of in no man's land here, and we are watching the ranges. It's just going to be very, important that if we do actually break out from here, move up a little past even weekly EMA SMA 200, that we are just going to most likely fill this, wick high out, tap closer to the bi-weekly 9, and go towards the bi-weekly EMA 100. That still is going to be the big spot for me moving forward, specifically when you are in bi-weekly silver cross to the downside. This at least can help you, which is, understanding that any kind of, move up from here is just going to retest our higher levels, which most likely play right into our shorts. So again, remember, we're using the weekly SMA 200 as a big spot, but if we end up bouncing from here, let's not forget that the monthly 5 has been a pretty easy gauge on when to reject, and you do notice that rejection's coming in at 68,000. What is it, like 68? Yeah, basically 68,000 essentially. So both have a lot of repairing to do on this chart. If we're at all going to be talking about a bottom, you do need to see at minimum 74,000 reclaimed, and we can even, call it a little, faster than a monthly. You just start closing that daily SMA 200 sitting at 75,000. That's going to be our first big sign that yes, Bitcoin has put in a bottom, and we are about to essentially bust up from here. But not at the daily 21. And this is why we just need to be watching very carefully that daily 21, because this is still a major zone. And this just still plays into the daily silver cross to the downside. We've had, retests of these silver crosses. The only difference is it just hasn't been able to break at all. So that's why we do need to be watching carefully, specifically when the daily 21's at 62,230. This is basically telling you this is in the rejection zone in confluence with the weekly SMA 200 setup. And we should be looking for lower right into that 60,700. And that just plays into the at least weekly analysis that I gave, which is at minimum, we should reject at the weekly SMA 200. And then you should, if we're going to be bullish, get some kind of retest into 60,700. So you can see the dailies even lined up. And only way to really get out of this is, like I mentioned here in the middle of June, if you just get back above your daily 21, right? That 62.2, if you get a reclaim, that's going to give you confluence of a deeper move up, possibly all the way up to 65. And like I mentioned on that bi-weekly, most likely a move up to $69,000. So you really can see this is a spot of interest for bears. This is major resistance though. And that's why we just want to be watching very carefully this region, because as long as, well, firstly, the weekly SMA 200s getting a retest, that's finally happening. We were always expecting that from last week's capitulation. This often makes just an easy spot to get aggressive short out. But if you do end up rejecting it, understand that it's going to start really diminishing bull's idea, and it's going to start giving you a measured move all the way down to 49,000. And what we're seeing now is just basically the slow process towards a weekly lower high. Now, going back to the daily 21, I think that's the easy gauge to long. And we're watching 60,700 reclaim to maybe move up to that 62.2. We have basically fulfilled my criteria. And that's why now I need to be watching very carefully here at 62.2. Because, again, you're going to notice the last 2 days, this is kind of where resistance has been. So the chart is indicating to us this is a big spot. We're already slightly rejecting it. And you have seen pretty nice moves up upon 62.2 holding. So I just feel like we're just in a pretty big spot. It's good so far that, we've moved up and bounced, but now this is where bulls actually need to, come up, repair the chart, and really not get a rejection here, or it's going to be pretty damning. Because the 5 days in a pretty basic downtrend, and you do have a lower low, and it seemingly is going in for the next lower high. We've been rejecting the 5-day EMA 5, and that is sitting at 62,700. More reasons on why if we do retest the weekly SMA 200, that's going to be the big spot. Yeah, 2-day EMA 9. Retest again, just kind of showing you the idea that it could be bullish, but you just got to get back above 62.2. And then a monthly retest. I do believe this monthly is important. You are getting back above February's wick low, which is a good sign, because as I mentioned last stream, this has been kind of the area as a bull you need to see really like green dildos above, because this could really dictate a move down or a move up, essentially closing back above February's wick low at 60,100. But you do see that you are just still under 62.2. And again, even if the monthly rallies all the way up, even if the monthly rallies all the way up, again, you do notice you have massive resistance in the higher $60,000 region. Here's your monthly 5, and that is at $68,000.
Sorry to interrupt you. The screen is black for me.
Oh, is it black? It's because I closed my thing. There we go. I hit a button on my old Mac, and I guess it blacked out my screen, blacked out your guys' screen. We are back in black, though, quite literally. Let's see here. And remember, we're always on lower high watch. Even if we rally up and we move all the way up to 68, this is still going to produce the next monthly lower high. And the thing about these monthly lower highs is they're drawn out. They can just be for multiple months. Lower low, 1, 2, 3 months, so a quarter it took for then the lower high, and then you dumped 1 month, and here we are again, but you're in lower low. So for the next 2-3 months, we rally back up. just don't want anyone to be, nervous on that. This still would play right into the bear market. You're just doing the typical rallies up to the monthly 5 and or 9. And I don't trade off the 55. So I'm not looking at this 55 as resistance or support. But if you do trade off the 55 on a monthly, you can see it's kind of been an easy zone. So going back to the daily now, I am watching for essentially a rejection on Bitcoin. I do believe it has to come sooner rather than later. And so that's why I am just simply watching for shorts here for ETA and really focused on, the scenario, which is we should get some type of rejection here. I'm just looking at my trade here. So if you are, on ETA, I'd be really looking at 62.2 as essentially the big rejection zone moving forward. No, I want to go to my 4-hour. So we are at a point of interest here. You did get the 4-hour EMA 100 reclaimed, and you got the expansion up. You've taken out yesterday's high. But again, this is why now we need to be watching very carefully here. We start deviating this 4-hour EMA 100. This will instantly give you a short setup, and that's going to be your confluence trade to that move to 60,700. So far, we haven't even gotten, 3 closures. We've gotten 1, and we got expansion. So this still could act as support though. And that's why the 4-hour EMA 100 above gives lower time frame bulls the advantage here of a breakout. But that's why if in the next 2 hours you see this get lost, there's your confluence that maybe this has formed some kind of top on the 4-hour. So you're looking for maybe a move down and a loss of the 4-hour EMA 100 before coming down. That'll be your confluence trade now. So that's the confluence, and this is topped, and we are forming that lower high right into the 62.2 region. But if you are, aggressively shorting Bitcoin right now, the spot needs to be this area, 61.6 to 61.7 needs to get lost, and you just simply use your 4-hour EMA 100. Now the 4 hours hasn't silver crossed yet. So if it does, okay, cool. Confluence of this zone being support at 61.3, but still no silver cross. And we could just see the harsh rejection occur now, not causing this to cross. So watch very carefully in this region here. Because the 4-hour was solid resistance at that EMA 100. You reclaimed it, you got the expansion. So if you start losing it, there's just more confluence that we are about to move down. And so we are in a 12-hour buy trigger. You do want to be watching again that 61.6, 61.7 region. You do see your 12-hour EMA 34 got reclaimed. And we've seen this before. That's not like oh wow, that's a big sign. No, we've seen this before, and we even got like expansion. We just could not hold it. And you falling under your 12-hour EMA 34 was the very easy short trigger. And that is lined up pretty near our 4-hour EMA 100. So if you start losing in 2 hours, your 4-hour EMA 100, it's going to be confluence to you that is basically an implication that the 12 hour is going to close bad. So you don't need to wait for 10 hours. You could just wait for 8 hours, get the 4-hour close. If you lose the EMA 100, now we're formulating some kind of idea here, which is Bitcoin's weak. We have locally topped 62 to reject. And we are most likely going to start moving down minimum to 60,700. You start losing 60,700, that's when we're back really to business. We already are in business to 49K under 62 too, but that is just when you're in breakdown on Bitcoin under 60,700, at least in this lower time frame range. Yeah, I see. I put my stop loss wrong on that Bitcoin trade. I just opened a 23 short Bitcoin, but my stop loss was put wrong. So that's nice. I have to re-enter that. I'm like, why am I not in my short right now? But I think it stopped me out. I think I put my stop at 160. It's supposed to be at 360. So that's That's beautiful. I like that. But that's okay. These are just little blunders before we make a lot of money. Is how I have to cope. So this is the spot. It doesn't make sense to at all be a bull here now. The place to be a bull was here in the breakdown, 58. And again, that wasn't a logical spot to be a bull. That was like very aggressive. But nevertheless, now this isn't the spot to be a bull. The spot to be a bull is into next week when you get back above 62.2. That could really mean that into next week, you're just going to have a good market and you're going to start moving up and Bitcoin's just lagging. But until then, you're now just not supposed to long 62.2. That just doesn't make sense to my head. It's just better to wait and see. So we're just going to continue to wait and see on that. 62.2 is my big spot of resistance on Bitcoin. And with the new weekly incoming, and we've just closed it, and we're now rallying up to that SMA 200. This still is just the biggest obvious sign of this isn't like bullish yet. We're close to a bull move, but not yet. And so we need to just be fully aware, even here, when we got the first retest, this did lead to a move back down near the range lows. So we need to be watching that. Then you rallied up and then you broke it. But on the first loss, you did reject the first retest. And then the following week, you got a nice move down. 2020. Got the reclaim, but then, okay, great. If it does that into this week, confluence that this has bottomed. 2018 didn't lose it. Nice. And 2015 got the rejection on the first hit. So we did even get a pretty epic move up. And that's not to say this didn't reclaim it. It obviously did. But like 43%, but this still rejected first tap. And then it reclaimed, lost it. Reclaim held it, expanded. That was the bottom, but still you did end up losing it. And I know people are looking here. We did make a major move down and it held it, and then we moved up. So this is a big spot. Like the weekly SMA 200 day, massive spot. It's going to try to trap shorts essentially and get everyone bullish. But that's why we'll just have our criteria. And as long as you're rallying under this, yeah, this just makes for a perfect bull trap, which is you have macro trend down and then perhaps daily trend starting to shift up. This is a good case for a bull trap. Yeah, this was nice. Look at that lower low break, lower high, and then leg down. Here you did kind of take out the last lower high, higher low question mark. This is where your silver cross rejected. And then this is when you also formed your lower high unknowingly to bulls before you confirmed your lower low. Okay, this doesn't mean we're bottom. This just guarantees you're getting some kind of lower high here. Only way is if you take out like on the higher time frames, 60, 65.5. So right in that 66K. Yeah, this would be a good case for a bull trap. So let's keep going now. Slightly annoyed on that Bitcoin trade, but it's fine. I'll just reroll when I stop streaming. I'm probably posting Academy short. Okay, so we didn't hold February's wick high. So now we're just right down to the 8.58%. And notice how that's just right into what we talked about. Like if we don't hold this, we're most likely going to come down to here. I don't say that in the look what we said, but more of look how it's just playing out, how we thought about it. Like this is just still right in favor of bull still. Like this is still playing a bull story. We didn't get the aggressive, shallow little retest to move up. So we're just retesting this zone. And this most likely then means that we're getting that monthly retest here. We have 28 days left to go. Are we really going to just bet that this goes red and girthy and down? I wouldn't. And the bet worked here in 2023, I will say. It worked beautifully here. but I can't really be convinced it's going to work here. And I have to be still watching what I know. And as long as even on daily candle closures, you're closing up 8.567%, this will just end up being some kind of monthly SR, which was resistance, 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 flip now into support. And of course, this has to get everyone bullish on Bitcoin. So you do literally see you're doing just a monthly SR. Still back above the monthly median. This is still giving you a new all-time high break towards 11%. So here's your kind of perspective on, yes, Bitcoin did an impressive rally. It did end up losing February's wick high into support. It didn't flip that, but maybe we're just going to range between that. Here we have that 8.567%. And we absolutely could range between that 9%. Just move down and up. So that's the monthly and weekly. And so the daily here you do see are at the 34. We're right there on a retest, very near what happened in June 15th, where you got close to it. It didn't retest it. And then this is what sparked the bottom and started moving up. So we're at the 34. This is a big spot. And really, as long as you are still staying above 8.567%, you know that this is going to just be a good weekly and also monthly close. This is just a retest. I mean, look at, let's have perspective. July opened up, we've been going up on Bitcoin, going up on Bitcoin, going up on Bitcoin. How perfect would it be if that's what we talked about? The weekly SMA 200 gets a test, and then this just gives us the spring up. And all this was your monthly retest. Because technically the weekly is still holding where it needs to hold. These candles do look somewhat like distribution, but what I can say is you are still holding where you need to hold. So there is just that. And this is more doji, just more distribution because of these wick highs. So, but we already know that this is a spot of resistance. This is a big spot of resistance because this is what separates essentially bulls from a new all-time high. So it makes sense, but this is why we don't want to get distribution here and then a breakdown. We really just need to start seeing bulls pick it up. And they're already missing the mark. Like we got to this week start moving down on Bitcoin, or they are going to miss the mark. So that at least says we still have, 2 days left to go. By today up until Sunday, you do need to see bulls on Bitcoin dominance pick up here. And so the 2 days just forming that higher low, and this is a good perspective to keep. You'll know that this is really starting to trend shift overall, but you just need to take out June 14th low. So you have like a big buffer here on when bulls are right. You have less of a buffer here for, well, no, when Bitcoin bulls are right. Essentially, Bitcoin bears, continue to be right though, because Bitcoin, or no, Tether dominance, sorry. Tether dominance is looking extremely bullish. And so that's going to make it not likely for bulls on Bitcoin to break out of here. The only way to change that is taking out June 14th low on Tether dominance. And that's still a ways to go here. So, I mean, if you're a bull on Bitcoin, you're interpreting that as, yeah, this is just going to break down, free move, 6%. But again, that's why it's easier to be a Bitcoin bear right now. All you need to bet is for a higher low and your daily 34 to continue to hold, just like it's been doing. And look at Bitcoin now. And again, I'm slightly annoyed at myself for putting the wrong stop loss, but that's just how it goes. Look at Bitcoin rejecting 62.2 currently. So that's a good sign. Yeah, well, I just literally, I guess even me trading over 20 Bitcoin size making mistakes, so whatever. But now, right, if you're not short and you're like me and you're having somewhat of FOMO because you knew you're going to reject, I don't need to be chasing this. I'm now waiting for the 4 hour. And so this is where lower time frame trading will be your friend. We're now retesting 60,000, that's 61.7. If you lose this 4-hour EMA 100, there's your 60,700 confluence. And then remember what I mentioned on the 12-hour, you're most likely going to fall back under the 12-hour 34. And that was the last criteria for us to really start shorting Bitcoin again. So really be watching for some kind of local high here. Tether dominance looks very bullish to me as long as you're viewing it on higher time frames. And the daily 34 is going to be your easy gauge on the spot that really needs to hold. Essentially, you need to hold this zone and move up. If you don't and you lose this, okay, yeah, there's your big dump down. And here's where Bitcoin most likely does a retest that major low we talked about, or that major high essentially, that needs to be taken out, better shown on the 2-day here, which is 63.4. And then on tether dominance, that is what we actually talked about here, taking out these lows, June 14th lows, most likely just means daily 34 is lost and you're moving down towards your 100. There's June 14th low. So right into here. Now let's go to the D of Bitcoin. You would think it'd just be easy to find that. There we go. Let's go to the weekly. This is the most important chart. And so the weekly here it is still showing me bearishness. And so we're just getting continuation down. You are looking for that weekly EMA 100 to get a retest. And then as long as this hasn't been retested, this still means it can get a retest. Bitcoin dominance could move up. But still, it's not looking very good as long as you're under last week's wick low. Meme line at last week's wick low is a typical continuation pattern of lower. You're just going to continue down. You do have a weekly silver cross down, and so you do just see this is extremely weak despite bulls moving up, breaking out, and even making it seem like this volatility setup was firing off. This is the biggest weekly volatility setup Bitcoin dominance ever had. Has reset, by the way. You're just back above the moving average again. But why this could just easily dump down to 54% and at minimum down to our target at 57.4%. So here, this was helping us kind of get confluence that Bitcoin is slightly weak here. And really, when Bitcoin dominance has been moving down, Bitcoin's been moving down. So Bitcoin at 62.2 and at resistance, and Bitcoin dominance looking like it wants to capitulate, in my opinion, we still should be really watching carefully. Really closures under 59.69%. That has led to just major moves down on Bitcoin dominance. The better one is here in 2021, where that lost, and that is what sparked just a multi-week downtrend on Bitcoin dominance. And then you see this in 2018, 2017. You literally had just a perfect rejection before capitulating down. So that's not, the boost of confidence Bitcoin bulls won while Bitcoin's moving up. That Bitcoin dominance is going to be bullish. And more reason on why it won't be is if you go to the quarterly, something we identified was the quarterly, actually the quarterly median got lost. And again, look, we perfectly rallied up to it and we've rejected it. So now what this is saying is it's giving you a target measured move down to 43%. This is good to break down now. So not, again, a bullish sign. Actually, quite the opposite of a bullish sign. Quarterly median loss for the first time since its reclaim in 2022 is not a good sign. That's showing there's a major shift here and markets that not many are looking at. And this retest, if done, could just start marking really Bitcoin and crypto starting to move down. Now, you could also interpret this as this was the same exact setup we had in 2021 before alts went bazooka up. So interpret that however you want. But regardless, it just means Bitcoin dominance is weak as hell right now. Very weak. So in summary, I'm really watching carefully. 62.2 still. If we rally up, take today's high out, be fully aware you haven't even retested your weekly SMA 200. And most likely that will be what takes out short. You'll get the retest at 62.5, and then that'll be the big dump. This is just playing right in the middle. There's still more likely a reason on why you should wait for it 62.2. And that's why I'm not FOMO shorting here live stream, even if my Bitcoin short lower time frame would have worked. I'm now just either waiting for a short here or the loss of the 4-hour EMA 100, because I just know that's the proper way to trade this very disgusting range. And it is a disgusting range. You've essentially taken out all shorts and all longs. Now you're in the good spot, which is, this is a brilliant spot to be positioning swing on either a long or a short, because this is a decision time now. As long as you're under your weekly SMA 200, the decision will be down, and I am still targeting 49,000 on Bitcoin, where that most likely does mark the bottom. And really, we can actually start moving up. Something to note on these stocks is if you're not seeing coin, strategy, even Solana take out its lows, but Bitcoin's taking out its lows, more argument on why these buys here in the 49s are probably good. And that at least the riskiest are starting to bottom, aside from Bitcoin, because there are riskier things in Bitcoin, like an altcoin, and even like insane stocks too, like strategy. So that'll be your indication, but really still understand you have not hit your weekly SMA 200. This little rejection could just be what takes out aggressive shorts. Now I'm just going to short. I need to get in. And then you short, and then you squeeze up. You actually test the levels you want to test, and then you reject. But during that, you do end up taking out all high leverage traders. You see that? Anyone on a 50x or higher is smoked. You're out. So that's why patience will pay here. And only until you get under the 4-hour EMA 100 is when we can start front running this. So now wait on your hands. If you are trying to bet on the short here, 62.2 is your extremity high, at least on a meme line range. But like I just mentioned, if you short here and we rally up to the weekly SMA 200, which is technically the right setup, that's going to take you out. So for me, I'm just now going to wait for either the 4-hour EMA 100 loss or weekly SMA 200 at 62.6. Understand your 4-hour today will play right into your 12-hour. So if the 4-hour EMA 100, which currently is getting a bounce slightly, continues to hold, that means the 12-hour is in a buy trigger. And that just simply means that you are going to more likely then take out 62.2, get a reclaim, and start moving up to 66, 69K, where that could actually be the short opportunity zone. Something like this. Now, I'm not really seeing many things telling me that's going to happen, but I just want to be fully, transparent. If you do end up holding 4-hour EMA 100, 12-hour 34 holds, you get back above 62.2. Weekly SMA 200 gets the reclaim. Yeah, this market becomes a lot more harder for shorts, and we most likely will get a target up to 69,000. Remember, this was the big breakdown zone in June. So hopefully that makes sense. We're watching very carefully our levels. We're at resistance. You're slightly getting a rejection, but as we all know, this isn't really developing into anything quite yet. Close to something, but nothing quite yet. We just now need to see bears actually take control here. We have 2 days left to go. I do need to see within 2 days a closure back under 60,700. So by Sunday, if Bitcoin's not at 60,700, and we're just slowly right at the weekly SMA 200, not rejecting it fully, that's your kind of implication trade into next week. We are probably going to start breaking out here. And that would make sense. Daily silver crosses, 4-hour EMA 100 holds. Here's your daily silver cross. Goodness. What was it then? Was it your 12-hour? No. Weekly? I thought there was a very close silver cross. It was on the 4-hour. I had a brain fart. Yeah, that means in your 4-hour does just silver cross up, and that'll be your first big sign that, okay, maybe the 12-hour and daily will start. Remember, on the daily silver cross, and I really hope everyone's aware, on that daily silver cross we had, that is what started to move Bitcoin massively up here. Like, we had the silver cross, and then that's when we just started to move up, like hard, up to the SMA 200. So we're still in daily silver cross down. We are pressing resistance, but if the 4-hour does not reject its EMA 100 and give an SFP, and it does silver cross up, okay, that will be the first big sign that this 12-hour and daily might start actually getting a bullish spark. But until then, watch resistance 62.2 to 62.5. If you're at ETA, we'll be looking for shorts. But like I mentioned on stream, I have my criteria, so I'm one to short. And in this region, you're better bet is just to short the higher spot, which is at 62.5. Let aggressive traders get in, get out. Well, we know, though, this is the spot to be shorting. And every weekly candle closure, your weekly SMA 200 will continue to move up. So that's an interesting point, because if we reject this week and move up a little higher and break this last week, again, this will just be the predatory nature of the weekly SMA 200 moving up, breaking last week's high, but no closures above it still means we're bearish. So if this moves up next week here, we break down, and then next week we rally up to it, break last week's high, it still is going to be the most important place to get closures above it. So I hope everyone's aware of that. And yeah, that's all I have on Bitcoin. I think it's a pretty straightforward type of day.
Alrighty, let me share my screen. The little Sipsky of this folks here. Alrighty. Now we will zoom out or zoom in. Excuse me, sorry. Let me mute myself for a second while I burp. There we go. Listo. All right. So daily momentum is still flipped up, very close to entering into the bullish control zone now. And you have volatility still contracting, and the daily jewel is still on a buy signal, and it's still about to closing in on the bullish control zone here. Let me zoom out. Okie dokie. Let me close this trade real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Coolio. And so this is all right, so now we do have some hidden bearish divergence forming here, because we have taken out these previous highs of momentum where price is still making a lower high. But to confirm this, as of now, this is going to have to close below $57,748, which is a little bit unlikely as of this moment. But as you go on, this is going to be easier and easier to confirm. And you're finding some resistance here at this 21 EMA, which has been holding you down basically this entire way through. It is where you find your last lower high as well. And let's check out the jewel. And the jewel is very close to giving you a bullish cross here, with the pink about to cross above the yellow. If this does confirm, this likely will give you another move on the jewel oscillator into the bullish control zone, which coincides with move slightly up on Bitcoin towards the top 38.2%, which currently sits around $63,000. Let's go to the 12-hour now. 12-hour also has given us closures over the 38.2%, with momentum currently flipped up, and this would give you a target of the 78.6%. But you do have the 55 in between as resistance, sitting at $63,200. And you're also forming hidden bearish divergence on the 12-hour, taking out these previous highs without price making a lower high. For this one, you would have to get a close below $61,193. And then this gives you a move down to about $60,000 for a little bounce, and then most likely somewhere around $59,500 after that. 8 hours getting some resistance at the 55. Momentum is currently flipped up, and you have gotten closures over the 61.8%, which end of 38.2, which gives you moves into around 63,000, which is a 78.6. A little bit lower. The 4-hour. 4-hour has also given us multiple closures over the 100 EMA. Momentum on the 4-hour is currently flipped down, and it is putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence, taking out these previous lows while price is making a higher low. This will require a close over 62,050 to confirm, and then this gives you a move into somewhere around $63,200. 2 hours also getting a retest of this 200 SMA now after getting closures over the 38.2%. This is still flipped up right at that moving average, and there's possibility of bearish divergence here, but this will need to close below 61.8 to confirm. And if you do confirm, it gives you a move down to somewhere around 61.2 to 61,000. But currently, you do have confirmed hidden bullish divergence, and the bearish divergence is just possible because you need to take out all of these previous lows of momentum while price is making a higher low, and you confirmed it on this candle here. So as of now, you're just getting a back test of this 200 SMA. Let's go to the hourly. Hourly's got some bearish divergence as well. That will require a close below 61.897 to confirm. That gives you a target of the 21, which is around 61.6. Going to the gambling time frames. And 15-minute has a nice reclaim of this 21. Last time we did reclaim it, you got some busting action. And is there any bullish divergence here? Some hidden bullish divergence between these points. Okie dokie, let's go to the 2-day. 2 days also getting back over that, getting back over the 90 EMA, which has been your resistance all the way through. You do have 9.5 hours left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. So I do have to see where it's at by the close. But as of now, you are back over the 38.2% and back over the 9 EMA. And momentum is putting in possible bullish divergence because you do have a higher low momentum with a lower low price, and this will confirm with any close over $61,300. Confirmations of this bullish divergence would give you a target somewhere around the median and the 21, which currently is sitting around $64,500. 64.5 to 65,000. The 21's at 65,000. And the 2-day Jules losing the sell signal, flipping into neutral, and that is also putting in bullish divergence. Okie dokie, go to the 5-day. 5 days also flipping up a momentum. This is the first time 5 days flipping, getting back over the moving average and flipping back up in this region since about this zone here. And from this region here, when we did flip back up, we got a decent sized move up. This was, let's see, just for curiosity's sake, about 15 to 16%, actually 18% moves to the upside. How much was a more immediate move? Let's see. This was about 9%. So just for funsies, let's take this from where it flipped up and take it about 9% to the upside. That would put us just around $65,000. Interesting. And for funsies, just for total complete funsies, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's take it the higher end number of around 15 to 20 or 19%. 15% will bring us to $69,200. We could probably stop it there. And the 18 to 18% number brings us to about 71,000. Although I am leaning more towards, if it does even play out, that 9% number. And we're also approaching the 5-day 5 EMA, which is currently at 62.7. And this bullish divergence on the 5-day, because you're also putting in possibility of bullish divergence, that will confirm with any close over 61,896, so about 61,900, and that will give you a target of the 9 on the 5-day, which is currently sitting around $65,000. That give you that 9% move up to the upside. Okie dokie, and going to the weekly. Weekly is now very close to tapping that 200 SMA, which even if you're going to be bullish, this is likely going to reject on the first tap. Weekly is also putting in possibility of bullish divergence, but weekly bullish divergence is going to need a close over $67,260 to confirm. Likely this is not going to happen. More likely, even if you will confirm this bullish divergence, is good. Best case scenario is you're going to grind out some type of bottom in this region here on this 200 SMA, and then confirm the bullish divergence and then send it upwards. But I don't think you're going to get that straight upwards move and close over this area. More likely this will reject the first tap around, come back down to somewhere around $60,000, try to make a higher low in this region, and then make that move upwards for 65,000 if that's what's going to happen. Also if you were to note that weekly bullish divergence is quite a big deal, has not happened for a long time. We'll get to this on the RSI where it's more visual. Let's go into 2-week, and also that weekly divergence has not been confirmed. It's just a possibility. 2-week is currently flipped to the downside, but it is ticking back up at the edge of the bearish control zone. 2-week is also putting in possibility for bullish divergence. This will confirm with any close over 67,260, same number as before. And 2-week is giving you a fresh silver cross to the downside with the jewel losing this buy signal at the edge of the bearish control zone. And you're also very close to losing 38.2%. That level is at $62,100. If you do close below that area, you are likely going to just jump straight down to the 78.6%, which right now with a stop at 52,000 at the 61.8. The 78.6 currently sits at around $46,000. If you do close above this 38.2%, though, then you're more likely to see a little bit of a bounce first upwards, a bounce towards the 5 EMA, which is going to move after this close. And currently it's sitting at 66.8, probably going to move to the 65s at this next open. And that would be a very nice bearish retest zone for eventually down lower. And then we also would have to see where these ranges move to get our more accurate targets. And monthly is about to come back up and retest the 55 and the 61.8%. That puts you right around $64,000-ish with monthly momentum still flipped up and volatility contracting on the monthly. Anything else? Anything here? This was 59,000. This was 58,000. So this is a lower low. Lower low momentum. And you got monthly bearish divergence currently confirmed as well. We'll get to that also on the RSI. Quarterly is giving you a little bit of a move up. Momentum is currently still flipped down. Quarterly 78.6%. Beautiful, sitting exactly at $65,000. Very, 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 very significant resistance here. All right, now let's go into Tether. Tether is currently flipped down on momentum. We're very close to entering into the bearish control zone. Tether is putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence, taking out these previous lows, but this will need to close over 9.267%. And if you do confirm it, sends you up to new all-time highs. As of now, you have lost 38.2%. You're getting a bearish retest of the 38.2%, and it is rejecting. So this would give you a target towards somewhere around the 55 to the 78.6, which is around 8.3 to 8.2%. That would be a move down from here of around like 3.5 to about 5%. If we were to take roughly 5% of Bitcoin, that'd be about like $3,000, somewhere around 64K, 65K. $12-hour has gotten the move to the 78.6, and you are also currently below the 55. But if you do close over the 78.6, which is at 8.66%, you should see a little move up into the 5, which is around 8.769, let's say, for a nice number. And ours also flipped down, tapping the 88.3%. This is an area that you would expect to bounce. Want to see where this closes. 4 hours also getting a little bounce here. 4-hour momentum is now flipping up. Volatility is contracting. You are now tapping the 4-hour 200 SMA after closing below it. Let's see what the history of this, what price does around this 200 SMA. So after we closed above it, we got some massive busting action. Kind of front ran the rejection here. Here's when we closed below it. We got to move up, and then massive loss. And we didn't really retest it until this region here, which was a front run, and then you got a massive move down. Let's see for other losses. Here you got a loss, but then you front run it again. Here you got a loss. You seem to front run this before it gets to the dump. You get your loss right here. This is where you where you tapped it and then you dumped. You also front ran it here. You seem to front run it more than you actually tap it. You got the loss and the immediate reclaim. But as of now, you have tapped it. And you're slightly over it too. It's at 8.672%. So will this be the one where it immediately reclaims? We'll see. 2 hours also getting back over the 5, very close to putting in a local bottom here. This will confirm with any close over 8.672%. And there's also bullish divergence here, which will confirm. Hourly is also putting in a local bottom. Hourly also has bullish divergence. I think you got 15-minute bullish divergence also. Right around that 38.2%. Let's go into the 2-day. 2-day is getting a bounce off the median, currently 8.64%. 2-day does have some bearish divergence, and this did it confirm. This week low is 8.946%. This one is 9. This is it's going to confirm with any close below 8.816%, which is all the way back up here, lining up with the 90 EMA. And if this does confirm, it gives you move down to somewhere around 8.2%. Zoom out, and the 2-day jewels losing the buy signal, and it's putting in bearish divergence. 5 days also putting in some bearish divergence. This will confirm with any close below 8.822%, and you're also currently losing the 38.2%, and that bearish divergence will give you a target down to somewhere around 8% flat, where this is the 21, and that would be a sweep of this previous low. Never mind. Weekly also putting in possibility for bearish divergence, but weekly will require a close below 8.149% to confirm, and then this gives you a move down to somewhere around 7.8% to 7.7% on confirmation. And weekly is now also losing the 38.2%, which is at 8.89%. That brings you down to the median as well, which is around 7.77. 2-week is getting a rejection of the median. Your last major high was also a rejection of the median, and you close in about 2 days with bearish divergence also forming. This will confirm bearish divergence with any close below 8.149%. But if you do close below the median, that does give you a target towards the bottom 38.2%, which also lines up with the 9 EMA. Also a sweep of the previous lows, and that puts you at somewhere around 7.9%. And if you do get and that does make it more possible for the bearish divergence to confirm, because then you will be below 8.149%. If you get that closure, then the divergence confirms. You get a little bounce towards the 5, and then it moves towards the 21. But this is front running a lot of steps. All right, monthly is now just getting a healthy back test or move down to retest the median and the 5 EMA after getting a massive close above it. This is just a bullish retest, and that would put you down towards somewhere around 8.2%. 8% to maybe 8% flat for the psychological number, which is not that much lower, but any move into that area is just likely going to get bought up and send you upwards towards 11%, which is just a lower high on Bitcoin before it goes down. This is around 5% to the downside, which is around that same $64,000 to $65,000 level on Bitcoin. Momentum is currently flipped down on the monthly, with volatility contracting it back to extreme lows. And quarterly coming back down, getting a retest of the 5, which just puts you around 7.7%. Still just a healthy higher low and a healthy bullish retest. Now let's check out the RSI. Tether does have a fresh drive of bearish divergence confirmed, and this will be active as long as you're closing below 9.165%, and you've hit the easy target on the bearish divergence, which is the neutral zone. Next level is the bearish control zone, and that level sits at around 8.05%, lining up with that 8% number. 12-hour also has bearish divergence. You're in the bearish control zone now, with volatility expanding from 2 periods of 0%. And your next target is going to be the critical zone, which currently is at 8.18%, lining up with the 8.2% number. 8 hours also got bearish divergence. Nothing but 4. There. 1 hourly's got hidden bearish divergence, going to target 8.6%. 2 days got a local top, going to target the bearish control zone at 8.3, also lining up, so actually not really. 3 days got bearish divergence, going to target the bullish control zone at 8.3%. 5 days putting in a fresh drive of bearish divergence, and this will confirm with any close below 8.822%. And this gives you a move down to the simple moving average, which is around 7.9%, landing up with about 8%. 6 days also putting in a fresh drive of bearish divergence, confirms with any close below 8.678%, and this gives you a move down to somewhere between 8.7 and 7.7. I'm guessing right around 8%. Weekly is also putting in possibility of bearish divergence, although weekly will require a close below 8.381% to confirm, and then this gives you a move down to about 8% as the minimum move. Likely will go a little bit lower. 2 weeks till has a local bottom. This will be a local bottom as long as you're closing above 8.149%. And you do have a target towards a simple moving average, which is around 10.28%. Nice new all-time high. And you have support at the bullish control zone right around 8%. And now 2-week volatility has entered extreme lows. Nothing. Already go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has bullish divergence on the daily. This will be active as long as you're closing over $58,553. You've hit the easy target, which is the edge of the bearish control zone. Next level is the neutral zone, which currently sits at around $63,500. 12-hour also has bullish divergence. You've broken into the bullish control zone now, so you do have support at 61,800. What's your wick low right now? About 61,650, and the critical zone is sitting at 68,000, which will update several times. And volatility is currently expanding. Plus, you have that 12-hour EMA 9 setup currently firing off from this point here, where you did close back over the 9. And since from that close over the 9, you have currently gained around 3.5 to 3.7%. And also from the full moon, we have from this close basis around 6.29% to the upside now. The lower end move is around 4%, or 3.5 to 4%, which has been fulfilled, and then the medium move is somewhere around 8 to 10%. So if you were to take it 8%, that would take you to around $63,300, and 10% would take you to around 64.5. So we do currently have a range between 63.5 and 64.5, somewhere in that region, and that would be the middle end move for the full moon, the bull moon. Mm, 8 hours now also in the bullish control zone. Four hours very close to silver crossing. They're kind of touching tips right here. With this next close, as long as you are closing over about $60,000, $61,000, these are going to cross. Likely gives you a nice little pump scheme to somewhere around 63,000, 63.2, which is the 4-hour 200 SMA. And the critical zone on the 4 hour is currently sitting at 63.1. Minutes got bearish divergence, although you've hit the easy target. Now you're putting in hidden bullish divergence, and that will confirm with any close over 62,234. Then that gives you a move into 63,100. You already confirmed it on the 15-minute, gives you a move into about 62.2s, which you're very close to hitting now, and then the critical zone is at 64,000. Today's got a local bottom. You've hit the easy target, which is the neutral zone. The bullish control zone is at 66.3, but this level will update in 9 hours. 3 days got a local bottom. Simple moving average is at 61.6, so you are above that now. And the bearish control zone is at 68.6, which will update several times. 5 days about to put in a fresh drive of bullish divergence. This closes tomorrow, and this will close as long as you confirm with any close over 61,896. And then this gives you a move into the edge of the bearish control zone, which is going to update, but currently is sitting at $67,000. 6 days got hidden bearish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you're closing below 64,437, and you've hit the bearish control zone. So currently now you're just getting a bearish retest. So it's the 5, which is currently around $63,000. Weekly putting in that possible drive of bullish divergence. This is going to confirm with any close. Currently, it's going to require a close over 67,260, but as you go on, this is going to be easier to confirm. Even if you make a lower low on price, this will still be here because you're making a significantly higher low on the RSI. So if you come down to somewhere around 49,000, this will still be possibility for bullish divergence on the weekly. And once you get this weekly bullish divergence confirmed, this is what's going to mark your bottom. Because if you go back to your weekly bullish divergences, this is very significant. Your last weekly bullish divergence was in August of 2024 when you had your busting action to new all-time highs over $100,000. This was when you topped around 74,000 and you came all the way down to 49,000, and then that marked your weekly bullish divergence and sent it upwards to $100,000. Here's another weekly. Oh fuck! I moved my line. Let me undo this. Here we go, another weekly bullish divergence right off the bottom of the end of the bottom.
Look how long that one took.
Oh shit!
Look how long that one took, right? Yeah, from when it started to when it played out, right?
Yeah, it was all the way possible all throughout here, and then you got your confirmation on this candle.
Now look out, like how many months have gone by from the one that started to appear here all the way through now. Basically, it's kind of like very similar.
Yeah. And then you continue to make lower lows while it was appearing, and then when you got your confirmation, then the bear market was over.
Yep.
And you got another bullish divergence off of this, which was your summer sideways, or not summer, but early 2023, before when you got your move down to around $19,000 with the big collapse, and then that put in another drive of bullish divergence, and then that sent it upwards again. So as of now, it's going to be very difficult to confirm this bullish divergence. You do need a close over 67,260. Little unlikely, probably very unlikely this is going to happen.
Yeah.
More likely this is just going to reject here at this weekly 200 at 62 to 63,000, come back down. Best case scenario, make a higher low at $60,000, and then put in the bullish divergence. Although what I think is going to happen is you're going to get your rejection of this 63 to 64 area. Come back down, sweep this low, come back to somewhere around $49,000, and then in this region it'll be much easier to confirm the bullish divergence, and then you send it upwards and you end your bear market at that point. I think it's a little unlikely this is just going to bust through here and put in your bullish divergence and then send it straight up, and we go to $100,000 and everybody's rich.
Well, but no one is rich because no one bought.
It's true.
So it actually makes more sense in a painful way. And the other thing is, go check out the same dates on 2018. I don't know why everyone's looking at 2022 when comparing the cycle. 2018 is identical. On a weekly chart, go to 2018 on July. We've had the same down moves, right? The same bust up moves. So what's next right now?
Zoom in a little bit.
That pump ski
up and then dump.
So let's say, but let's say that pump ski plays in this cycle, then the bullish divergence plays out because that pump ski was 48%. Let's say that you even play a third of it.
Oh yeah, it would be much less of a target on this.
You're $5,000 away from that 67,000.
Yeah, and nowhere near 48%. And then after you got your bullish divergence, let me see where on the chart it hit. Zoom in. Fuck. Which one was it? Only really took you to the neutral zone. That's not anything major. And then you got your bottom. Let's see where you are now. Oh, basically right at the neutral zone. Interesting. and that would be slightly below the neutral zone. So if you do get your bullish divergence, take you into the neutral zone, you get the exact same move as 2018.
Wouldn't that be nuts?
Except the 50% move up, you wouldn't get that. Let's see how much this would be from closing to 67,000. Yeah, you get about 15%, not bad. Half, not even half, 1/4.
No, that's what I said, 1/3.
Interesting point of view. That's actually probably what's probably going to happen.
I mean, it's gone exactly to the dates.
Exactly like that.
It's been playing out exactly like 2018, like to the T.
It gets everyone thinking they know how the cycle's moving, and then does the previous one.
Everyone's using 2022. I don't understand why.
And it is moving a lot differently from 2022. Alrighty. Now we go into 2 week. And 2 weeks still got that bearish divergence. 2 weeks, as we were moving up on price, we are getting volatility contracting, almost back down to extreme lows. And the target of that bearish divergence is going to be the simple moving average, which is currently sitting at $47,300. If you were to get a bearish retest of the 5, it's currently sitting at 67,000, but it is going to drop with every close. And monthly's got that active bearish divergence, which we did confirm on this previous close. And our 55 is currently sitting right around 63,000. So if we were to come back up and retest it, that's what puts us at that 63,000 zone. And your target on that bearish divergence is going to be the monthly 100, which is currently sitting at around 48,500, 48,700. But it will rise with every single close, and eventually it will line up with $49,000. If you would hit it on this month's close, it would be at 48.5. And then that will put in hidden bullish divergence as long as we are closing price above $25,900. Probably will close price above $25,900. Just going to go out on a limb and say that. And quarterly has got bearish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing below $114,000. And 6 month has active 3 drives of bearish divergence. This is very bad. This is it's also coming with the loss of the monthly 9 EMA. Previously, whenever you have lost your 9, you have either had the bottom or the bottom was very close. So now I'm probably going to be the one where the bottom is very close, and you are now about to get a bearish retest of your 9 EMA on the quarterly, which is sitting at that same $63,000 level. And from there, you're likely going to come down to wherever the 21 is at that time, and you are going to front run it slightly, most likely, because every single time previously you have front run it. And as of now, it is sitting around $43,000. So if it does rise, it'll be somewhere around $44,000 to $45,000. And then if you front run it, it'll be somewhere around $48,000 to $49,000. And you can put this meme line here. All right, now let's look at momentum. Tether is currently flipped to the downside with bearish divergence, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 9.16%. 12 hours also flipped down with volatility expanding from 2 periods of 0%, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 9.07%. And you're also putting some possibility of hidden bullish divergence, but you got to close back over this previous high at 9.272% to confirm, so it's a little unlikely. 8 hours also flipped down with volatility expanding from 2 periods of 0%, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.8%. 4 hours currently also flipped down with the silver cross, and you are now getting a rejection of that 200 SMA, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.7%. 2 days currently freshly flipped down with bearish divergence, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.98%. 5 days also about to freshly flip down, and it will flip down with bearish divergence with any close below 8.95%. And this will be a rejection of the critical zone. Weekly is currently flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 7.87% with volatility expanding from 0%. 2 week is currently flipped up, and this is turning pretty ugly now, turning into a shooting star dildo. And this is gonna remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 8.07%, with volatility now back to extreme lows. Monthly is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 8.52%, which you are over as of this moment. And quarterly is currently flipped up with hidden bullish divergence and volatility expanding from the lowest point ever, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 5.38%. But you closed massively above this 5 EMA, so if you were to come back down and retest it, this will put you at 7.7%, although this is going to move up with every close. Okey-dokey. Bitcoin is currently flipped up with bullish divergence, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $59,200. 12 hours also flipped up with volatility expanding, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $53,400. And now you're very close to getting your 9 crossing above the 21, and this will happen on this close as long as you're closing over $61,000. And when your 9 crosses the 9 crosses above the 21, usually you get your move to, or more likely than not, to the 55, which currently is sitting at $63,200. 8's already got that. You already tapped the 55 with the 8 hour. 8 hour is going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $70,800. Go to the 4 hour. 4 hours currently also very, very close to that silver cross, just touching tips here. And 4 hours flipped up as long as you're closing over $61,700. 2 hours also flipped up, but coming down to backtest that 200 SMA after getting that closure above, and it's freshly flipping back up, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over 61,950, so about 62,000, with 2 hour volatility now back to extreme lows, almost at 0%, and now starting to tick up, very close to getting over 15%. And hourly flipped up as long as you're closing over 62,000. 2 day is also freshly flipped up, bullish divergence. The bullish and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over about $59,800, and you're getting back over the 2-day 9 EMA. You do have 9 hours left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. But the last major lower high was a rejection of the 9. So if you do close over it, this brings you to the 21, which is around that 64.5 area. 5 days flip down, but will flip back up with any close over $60,600. And this is currently putting in bullish divergence on the 5 day. The last day, 5 day momentum flipped up from this region here, was all the way back here, and you did get a nice move up. Although it was a lower high, it was a respectable move up. Weekly currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 72,850. And you're just about to get a retest of your 200 SMA. 2 week is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $68,800. Monthly is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're with volatility expanding, giving you a monthly volatility setup to the downside. And it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 64,350, 64,400. Interesting how this lines up perfectly with that mid $64,000 area. So coming to this area would just be a tap of the monthly momentum pivot as monthly volatility is continuing to the downside. And it would also be a retest of your monthly 55 EMA. Very interesting here. And then you get a continuation to the downside to your monthly 100 around that $48,000, $49,000 region. Awesome. And quarterly is going to remain down as long as you're closing below 113,200. This pivot did go up from around $100,000 to $113,000, which is rather bearish. So now to wrap it up on the low time frames, you are getting momentum flipping up, putting in bullish divergence on your low time frames. It is making it, you have tapped that 62.2 area, but you are still forming bullish divergences. Momentum is still flipped up. You are now just about to get a silver cross to the upside of the 4 hour. I do want to see at least a 4 hour close over 62.2, and then I'm going to be looking towards somewhere around 63.5 to 64.5 to get hit, maybe 65,000, somewhere in that region. I do think you're going to find your next top, and then you're going to get your next move to the downside. You do have a bear moon coming up, I believe, on the 13th or 14th, one of those two, and likely you do see your if you do go to the 63.5 to 64.5 or 65,000, likely happens into that bear moon, and then you get your sweep of these current lows, and then you probably see somewhere around $48,000 to $49,000. Likely going to see a bounce at 52,000 for in between, though. I'm not sure how much that bounce will be, but I do think sooner rather than later, you're eventually going to tap that 49,000 area, which will complete the monthly volatility setup. Will hit the monthly target of the bearish divergence, and then from there, maybe you go sideways for a little bit, and then eventually put in your weekly bullish divergence, and then that'll send you up for your next cycle. But as of now, I do want to see for continuation upwards that 4 hour closure above 62,200, and then we can send it up to 65s, and then nuke it from there. But as of now, I also do want to see the reaction of that weekly 200 SMA as well, which is also around that 62,500, 62,000-ish area. I think you're muted.
I'm not sure if you've seen Ethereum. Thank you for that. Had already 4 hour silver cross to the upside, which happened last time. It went to like 1800 right here on June, but before that, it took a while for that shit to like happen, which the last one was around the beginning of May, right? When we got that massive pump into the 80-some thousands on Bitcoin, 82,000 on Bitcoin. So in the 4 hour, you're above the SMA 200, and this is on Ethereum. We hadn't been there since exactly that pump at 82,000, which took Ethereum to 2,400. And then Solamis is crazy. Solana had the silver cross back here on the 4 hour. On the 8 hour, already had a silver cross. On the 12 hour, already has a silver cross. And on the daily, is getting very close to a silver cross right here around the $76 mark, going again to retest the 100. Now, the weird and hard thing about these things is Solana didn't exist back in 2018. So how could we compare that market to this one? But Ethereum did.
No, indeed.
So I want to see what the fuck he did in 2018. There you go. May, June. So Ethereum had topped in June. Actually, it's not behaving anything at all like this. And then Ethereum did make almost a new low on March. This is where we have no reference. Because what's happening already, these pumps, dude, strategy pumping 26% to the upside, Coinbase 24%, Solana 37%, Ethereum 14% from where it was. And then looking at Bitcoin dominance, doing the same bullshit on the quarterly, right? Like we have that possibility. And I know it sounds really weird, but if this plays out again, that was like the altcoin season of the altcoin season of the altcoin season, right? That's the one that everyone knows. This coming down only continues the bear market. It's not like it wouldn't be a negative thing on Bitcoin, because when you're saying Bitcoin dominance is coming down, it's just against everything else, right? So then that means people are just buying other shit. But this could be crazy for alts, and it kind of already started. Like Solana's up tremendously. Like tremendously. And there's also, correct me if I'm wrong, weekly bullish divergence on Sol that already played out. like these were the lows in February, and on the RSI, these lows on June are higher, and you already took out the high.
The weekly is confirmed.
Like,
and that gives you a target towards $100.
So, what the fuck? And that's what I'm like. I'm following the Bitcoin cycle, right? And I would be stupid to compare it to 2022. And I think it's retarded because if it's giving us the same dates in the same moves as 2018, literally to the day, when the June 24th move to the downside was when we got, I got to go back to the actual fucking low right here. When we get ours right here. Let me put it on the daily. It was on the 26th. So it's 2 days apart on that move. And in other moves, it's 1 day apart, right? To the local bottom. So why am I comparing this to 2022 when it's doing exactly the same bullshit it did in 2018? And in 2018, there's a big difference now. The one big difference between these two cycles and what's happening right now is this. This is June, the low that we just had. If we get this pump, then you confirm bullish divergence.
Mm-hmm.
And that hasn't happened before. Like at this stage in the bear market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that means you could get a pump, let's say into the 80s again, high 70s, that confirm your bullish divergence. Maybe there you can get the rejection and then eventually, but the super fucking weird thing, and this is what to me, it's keeping me very suspicious of what's going on right now. Let me get rid of RSI and all that bullshit. Just stick to price. When we came down here and we did the local bottom, all of our other bottoms, dude, were not as close as, and once we bottomed here on the first candle, we didn't bottom on the second one. So that means right now we're making lower lows, but by like $1,000 on each. And we didn't do that back here, right? Which already Bitcoin likes to fucking take out lower lows before it goes up, right? So then, yeah, we're going to get this move. But then all the way to here, we would still be missing this move, right? And then that means that November, around December, you would find the bottom. But this never had a bullish divergence to end the cycle like the other one. And also, we hadn't seen a possibility of an altcoin rally. Because look, like someone on the chat, I don't know if they're fucking around or not, but look at Fartcoin. I know what you're thinking.
What?
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. But it's got weekly bullish divergence. And it doesn't look like much. But dude, Fartcoin is up 70%.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking weird. Even if we get a nice fucking alt rally and because my plan is focused exactly on this. Bitcoin is a piece of shit. It barely moves. I'm not buying Bitcoin. I'm buying all the alternatives to Bitcoin that are more high risk, more reward, higher reward plays, right?
Yeah.
And so far it's working out nicely. Even my fucking slow ass Ethereum is twice the pump than Bitcoin. But this is crazy. Now, am I crazy thinking that am I not reading this right? This is a weekly bullish divergence already confirmed, right?
Yeah. Once you get that close over the previous candle's high, which is just a formality, basically.
Yeah. Just saying, this is fucking really weird.
I'm interested how much is Cum Rocket up? Probably a lot.
Cum Rocket? Which one?
Cum Rocket.
Is there such a thing, Cum Rocket? How do I find it?
Yeah, but I don't think it's listed on trading.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
Oh, it is massively up. I can't measure how much of a percentage this is, but that's a lot. I think it's like 20% in the last week.
What about Trump?
In the gutter.
The thing about Trump is he did this bullshit right here. This would be the low. So he does have weekly divergence in play. The thing is, you would have to get up above 2-3.
The greatest trade of all time is if Trump goes back to all-time highs.
It would be. You would make 70x your money, right? Let me see. Hang on.
Basically.
Hang on. I mean, since we're already here, right? We might as well just fucking enjoy it. It would be a 2,000% pump, 2,200%. A 22. Is it? No, it's not 22x, is it? Yeah, 22x.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, I mean, the Solana's chart, and Solana, you know how I treat Solana. I look at it as an advanced indicator. Like it's the one that is telling me what's going to happen after. And if this just plays out in that way, and again, if we go up right now and just go up, I would assume that we're not going to make all-time highs. We're going to do a double top maybe, or close to that, and then really go into the worst bear market of all times. That would be my assumption. I don't think this is just going to turn into like a crypto party and it's going to be fucking awesome and whatnot. I don't think so. But definitely, I'm looking at things that I didn't expect, that I was waiting on for them to happen towards like September, maybe August, September, and they seem to be happening right now. Poor XRP. He doesn't pump more than 10%. It's like Bitcoin.
It's because the bankers are keeping it down.
That's what it is. They want to buy more, right? Because
they want us to sell our coins.
We got to face the facts. It's the new what is it? The new
the future of France.
It's the future of France, exactly. That's why. All right, this bullshit is ready. Thank you, boys. Appreciate it. Let's do Solana and Ethereum, because I think that'd be an interesting view since there's nothing else out here. I'm going to do the draw. Vamos a regalar estos $3,000. Voy a empezar a ver si puedo empezar con el de 500 sin que esto se vuelva loco. Ahí va. Vamos con el premio más chico, $500 para alguno de ustedes que esté tradeando con nuestro enlace de referidos de Bitunix. Vamos a ver quién se lleva estos deliciosos $500 para tradear y el ganador. El ganador de estos $500 es ¡tarán! David Paz. Felicidades, mi hermano, estás en el chat. Felicidades, cabrón. Felicidades, merecido. Siempre andas por acá. Me da mucho gusto. Vamos con el que sigue por estos $1,000 ahora. Y David, ya sabes que aquí ha habido ganadores repetidos, así que no me sorprendería ver algo así. Y Pussy, oh, wow, continúa siendo Pussikov. Esto ha de ser ruso. Pussikov ganó Bit at Passmail. Güey, este güey acaba de ganar también. Felicidades, mi hermano. Ganaste en el pasado, en el sorteo pasado que fue miércoles. Felicidades. Vamos por los 1,500. $1,500, damas y caballeros. Vamos por el final. Se aproxime 1-1. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver. Nos aproximamos al fin de este sorteo. Y nuestro ganador es David Paz. ¿Qué te dije, güey? ¿Qué te dije? Te llevaste $2,000 para tradear el día de hoy. Recuerda, mi David, lo único que tienes que hacer para cobrarlos es meterte a tu campanita aquí en Bitunix. Le picas, ahí vas a tener 1 o 2 cupones y ahí vas a tener $2,000 para tradear. Felicidades, mi hermano. Y también para bit@passmail.net, que suena como a una estafa, pero no lo es. Felicidades. Felicidades a nuestros ganadores. Vamos de vuelta a Bitcoin en putiza. Ahorita vamos a ver Ethereum, etcétera. Bitcoin es bastante sencillo. Aquí hay dos sopas. Que es lo que están viendo Alex y Farhan en sus trades por acá. Y tienen absoluta razón siguiendo solamente la tabla, ¿no? Uno, simplemente un retesteo de aquí al S&P 200, que es también donde está el promedio del 5 en los 62,700. Ponte tú aquí. Sería una buena zona para tal vez hacer un corto, pero tú, ¿cómo se dice? Tu invalidación está bastante arriba si lo estás viendo en la semanal. Voy a ir a la diaria a ver si podemos sacar otras invalidaciones que valgan la pena. No lo creo. Yo creo que sí te queda bastante arriba esa invalidación si lo estás haciendo acá. Pero viendo timeframes más cortos, están viendo acá que podría Bitcoin llegar hasta el promedio del 34, que son estos $64,000, y ahí rechazar y continuar para abajo. Sobre todo cuando lo ves en la de 4 horas, tienes el S&P 200 que no has visto, perdiste desde mayo, ya llevas varios meses debajo del S&P 200 en la de 4 horas, y ese está en los $63,200, que todas esas serían zonas de rechazo. Pero atentos, ahora sí tenemos divergencias alcistas jugando en la diaria, en la de 4 horas y en todas estas en Bitcoin, en lo que estabas haciendo bajos más bajos, en el RSI hiciste bajos más altos y continuaste con esa tendencia comparado con estos y sobre todo estos bajos que fueron más altos, que fueron mucho más bajos acá. También en la diaria, que te digo, hermano en Cristo, tuviste estos bajos, luego tuviste este tremendo bajo acá, y ahorita estás poniendo también bajos más altos en el RSI, en lo que llegaste a esos $57,000 prometidos. También acá tienes, es lo que habíamos comentado, el promedio del 34. Ahora en la de 5 días también estás a punto de poner esas divergencias alcistas, siempre y cuando puedas cerrar en 2 días por encima de este número de $65,000. Y si eso pasa, tendrías un movimiento bastante agresivo a la alza. Ahora, aquí tienen que entender, el bias de acá para Farhan y Alex todavía es bajista. Entonces, tienes oportunidades de corto en los 62, más o menos 62,500 o la zona de los 65. ¿Por qué? Porque en la zona de los 65 tienes un cruce plateado a la baja en la de 5 días y el retesteo del 65 sería simplemente retestear el cruce plateado y tu invalidación estaría aquí en estos $67,000. El problema que puedes llegar a tener, mis hermanos, es si estamos viendo el ciclo repetirse. Pero por ahora ellos ven que ahí es donde podríamos ir hasta que no pasemos siquiera el S&P 200 semanal. No tenemos una tendencia alcista y no nos podemos emocionar, simplemente podemos estar ante un rebote local y esto nos debería llevar a sus objetivos por ahí de los 45 a $49,000. ¿Ok? Es lo que están viendo y les están poniendo las tablas enfrente, que tiene toda la razón del mundo. Pero como les dije yo en el video de ayer, ¿no? Tenemos divergencias alcistas en la semanal. La última vez que vimos un tipo de divergencia así en la semanal fue en el 2000, de este tamaño, que ocurrió en febrero y el nuevo mínimo fue en junio. Febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, 4 meses después, ¿ok? La última vez que esto pasó en el 2022 fue acá, donde pusiste el mínimo en junio y pusiste el bajo más alto en noviembre, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, 5 meses después. Este fue el fondo en Bitcoin y acá te tienes que preguntar si va a ser el fondo en Bitcoin. Y para que esta divergencia bajista se active, tienes que cerrar por encima de $65,000 o tocar en un wickazo arriba de 67. Y eso te diría que la divergencia alcista se confirma y ya viste el fondo en Bitcoins. Ahora, esto para mí no es suficiente para decir que estamos ya en una tendencia alcista. El problema de todo esto para la teoría bajista, en mi opinión, esta es mi opinión completamente de estúpido, conspiranoico, marihuano, drogadicto, lo que gusten, ¿no? Todas esas cosas que ustedes saben soy. Mi problema de esto es, estoy siguiendo el ciclo del 2018 porque es idéntico. Sería estúpido voltear a ver el ciclo del 2022, en mi opinión, y compararlo con el ciclo del 2022. En junio, cuando llegaste acá en el 2018 al fondo, te dio un pompazo de casi 50%. Si ahorita nos da una tercera parte de eso, confirmas la divergencia alcista. Y acá no había en el RSI una divergencia alcista. Esto no la hubo acá. Pero en el ciclo del 2022 sí. Y también cada que Bitcoin tiene en la semanal una divergencia alcista, es cuando literalmente explota a la alza. La última que tuvimos fue en el 2024, me parece. ¿Cuándo fue? Que caímos acá. Este es súper mínimo. Exactamente, esta. Donde el precio de los Bitcoin, puedes ver, toca fondo acá, pero y ahora, esta fue una divergencia de junio, julio, agosto, un mes. Y esto fue lo que te llevó de 49,000 a $126,000. O lo quieres ver más conservador, a $108,000. Un pompazo de 120%. Entonces, aquí también hay otra cosa en juego. La razón por la que yo no quiero comprar Bitcoin, ¿no? Además de que no estoy asoleado y no soy tan inteligente como la gente que es bitcoinera, que viven en libertad fuera del sistema, comprándolo a través del sistema y vendiéndolo a través del sistema. Yo no compro esta chingadera porque no está haciendo nada. ¿A qué me refiero? El pompazo hasta ahorita en Bitcoin, 7.67%. En Solana, déjame nada más pongo el precio para que lo vean de cerca. En Solana, espérenme tantito. El pompazo ya es de 37%. En mi apuesta pendeja de Ethereum que está muerto, recuerden, Bitcoin hizo una subida de 7%. 16% Ethereum, más del doble. Pero, güey, también seguro XRP está pompeando. Así es el futuro de Francia, digo, el futuro de las finanzas. XRP está 10% arriba. Si lo quieres medir a esta vela que fue la que cayó, ¿no? 14, pero en realidad es esta porque es lo que ha pompeado. Si lo pongo en la diaria lo puedes ver más claro. Ahí está. Del fondo a donde ha pompeado XRP, un 11%, ahí va como Bitcoin. Para que tengan una idea. Ahora, Solana, en la semanal, mis hermanos de Cristo, ya tiene la divergencia alcista semanal. Ya la dio. Este mínimo es más alto que este de acá. En realidad es este de acá. Voy a borrar este. Y en el RSI fue un bajo más alto. Solana ya pompeó 37% con esta confirmación. 37%. ¿Ok? Vienes del RSI del punto en la semanal, para que tengan una idea. La última vez que tocó el RSI aquí abajo fue cuando llegó a $8, cuando cayó en el mercado bajista del 2022. Y es de donde estamos despegando ahorita. ¿Qué más te puedo decir? La dominancia de Bitcoin, tío, en la trimestral. Si esta chingadera no puede romper para acá arriba, la línea gris, recuerden, lo que estamos siguiendo es esta línea gris que viene aquí abajo, ¿ok? Si no puedes llevarte la línea gris para arriba, porque ahora ganaste y recuperaste la línea gris aquí. La línea gris venía bajando y puedes ver que todo esto estuviste por encima. Esto empieza en enero del 2023, cuando ya no tuviste un altcoin season bueno, cuando todo el mundo ha estado llorando y llorando en el casino. Pero cuando lo perdiste, como en esta ocasión, acá antes y caíste, este fue abril del 2021 que te dio el alt season más potente que has visto en tu puta vida. Cayendo de la media. Si esto continúa su trayectoria y cae acá, esto no es bajista. Esto para mí es señal de que, cabrón, se viene. ¿Y qué más tenemos en la trimestral? Una mega divergencia, si no estoy equivocado. No la hay. Pues sí, este alto no es más alto que este. Divergencias bajistas. Y estás por debajo de la media en la mensual. Esto para mí, damas y caballeros, sí, este tampoco es el alto más alto de esto. Esto para mí cayendo nos dice que va a haber algo diferente, que aquí alt season se viene. Y una vez más, solamente para que lo entiendan, en términos sencillos, me quito mi rainbow chart para todos ustedes. Una vez más, Solana ya tiene la divergencia alcista en la semanal activada. Ya jugó, ya está jugando. ¿Quiere decir que Solana ya encontró fondo? Posiblemente. Aquí sí me atrevo a decir posiblemente. Si viste la tabla de Solana con la bajada del diciembre del 2022 a los $8 y luego cómo aguantó en junio del 2023 la gran caída de los bancos, hizo un bajo más alto en septiembre del 2023 antes del potente cero de Hamas y luego te fuiste hasta acá, literalmente viniste a rebotar en la misma línea meme que había tocado fondo cada vez que la habías tocado, ¡pum! Y vas para arriba. Siguiente objetivo, $100 en Solana. ¿Quiere decir que se acabó el mercado bajista? No sé, güey, pero tiene cara de, en Solana mínimo, tiene cara de. Ahora, una vez más, Solana ya pompeó 37%, Ethereum ya pompeó 16%, Bitcoin ha pompeado 7,5%. Strategy. ¿Qué tanto ha pompeado Strategy? $26. ¿Qué tanto ha pompeado Coinbase? Del mínimo acá hasta el tope. 24%. Circle lleva menos que Ethereum, 12%. Pero es más que Bitcoin, casi el doble. 12% aquí. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? No tengo ni puta idea, pero una vez más, el escenario que más se jodería a todo el mundo es que literalmente hayamos encontrado fondo y subamos para después caer más fuerte. Ese sería el peor escenario. ¿Hasta dónde podemos subir? No tengo ni puta idea. Pero para mí, y esto es lo que yo uso como indicador adelantado, es Solana. ¿Qué me confirma totalmente esto? El objetivo de la divergencia alcista son $100 en Solana. El SMA 200 de Solana, el diario, está aquí arriba. Y el SMA 200, cuando estás por encima, vas a máximos históricos. Cuando estás por debajo, es un mercado bajista. Y lo perdimos en noviembre del 2025. Si llegas esta divergencia alcista a jugar ahorita, nos llevamos el promedio del 100 diario y de ahí nos agarramos aquí del nivel de los 93, ya tocaste fondo y ya viste el fondo en Solana. Y eso me dice a mí que ya viste el fondo en lo demás. Y una vez más, Solana hizo fondo primero. Solana hizo fondo el 6 de junio. Esto fue lo que a mí me dijo eso. 6 de junio, normalmente Bitcoin hace fondo después. Ethereum, ¿cuándo hizo fondo? El 6 de junio. Esas cosas que yo llevo en la cabeza, normalmente hacen fondo primero las altcoins y después Bitcoin confirma y cuando ves un bajo más alto, las altcoins están diciendo que ya vieron fondo. No puedo decir que estoy completamente seguro, por supuesto. Mínimo con Solana hay algo muy extraño pasando. Mínimo Solana sí. Yo diría que tienes más chance que ya viste el fondo en Solana de que no. Pero Bitcoin y lo demás no tengo ni puta idea. Acá en Bitcoin le estoy dando ya lo que había visto Alex y Farhan. Cualquiera de estas dos posibilidades, ¿no? El promedio de el 21 rechazándote y que te lleve para abajo, zona de corto, en la diaria, puedes verlo en la de 4 horas también. En la de 4 horas tienes el S&P 200 si quieres ser más conservador. Espérate a los 63,200 y tu triste invalidación estaría aquí arriba, en los 65,300, creo que son, 65,500. O te puedes esperar a ver si le pegas. No, es en la de 5 días, ¿no? Exacto. En la de 5 días a los 65 y lo invalidas con esto, en los 67. Pero una vez más, ya que llegas a los 65, es donde se pone cachonda la cosa, porque ahí estarías confirmando esa divergencia alcista del RSI en Bitcoin. Una vez más, hasta que no lo confirmes, tío, y de nuevo, sigo diciendo, tiene razón completamente lo que están diciendo hasta ahorita, porque estando debajo del S&P 200 semanal, no puedes empezar ni a emocionarte en Bitcoin. A mí lo que me emociona es ver Solana. No sé por qué vergas esté haciendo lo que está haciendo y la dominancia de Bitcoin haciendo lo que está haciendo. Pero esto es bajista y puedes hacer tu corto en 62,500, que es esto, el promedio del 200 semanal y el 5. Lo puedes hacer en 65, en 65,200, que es el promedio del 9, debajo de un cruce plateado que tienes acá, para retestar el promedio del 9, pum, pum. Y esto te debería llevar a los objetivos más bajos. O puedes esperarte a los $66,000 también acá en la semanal, debajo del promedio del 9. También tienes ahí, ¿cómo se llama? Cruce plateado a la baja y ese retesteo te debería de rechazar. O en la de 2 semanas, no, aquí ya se pondría, si ya llegaste aquí arriba, olvídenlo. Ya estás en 69, confirmaste la divergencia alcista y es cosa de reventar. Entonces, para mis aventureros, apostadores, degenerados, lo que ustedes gusten, oportunidad diaria, promedio del 21, con una invalidación bastante larga. Oportunidad en la de 4 horas con el S&P 200, aquí arriba, en los 63,200. En la de 8 horas tiene 64. Me gusta más esta posibilidad del promedio del 100 en la de 8 horas, porque te pone más cerca esta invalidación en 65. Esa a mí me gusta más, porque aparte en la de 8 horas está retomando el promedio del 21. Entonces, tienes muchos sabores de dónde escoger tu entrada para esos cortos deliciosos. Y ahí lo tienen. Vamos a ver qué chingados pasa y cómo evoluciona esto, pero aquí hay algo extraño. Y una vez más, si tenemos el mismo efecto que vimos en Solana, no, si tenemos el mismo efecto del mercado del 2020, del 2018 en Bitcoin y vamos a tener ese pompazo. El pedo más grande y lo que tienen que entender por qué estamos volando un poco ciegos, Solana no existía en el 2018. Lo que está haciendo Ethereum y lo que hizo en el 2018 fue completamente diferente a lo que está haciendo ahorita. Y solamente para que lo vean, dentro de este triángulo, en lo que caía Ethereum, que todo el mundo está volteando para abajo, Ethereum simplemente hizo un falso escape, una falsa desviación a la baja y se volvió a meter en este canal. Puede volver a caer aquí a hacer bajos más altos todo el camino. Ethereum tiene que perder esta línea meme. Y sé que es una línea meme, pero tío, la línea meme la has tocado una vez en el 2022, en el fondo del 2022. La tocaste en el fondo de abril del 2025 en los aranceles de Ethereum que todo el mundo recuerda. Y ahora estás tocando otra vez aquí esta línea. Esto, si eres bajista en Ethereum y quieres comprar en $1,000, en 1,200 o lo que sea, tienes que perder esta línea, retestear y que vaya para abajo. Pero el pedo es, tienes volatilidad expandiendo con este movimiento a la alza en este momento y también el RSI empieza a buscar subir por encima del promedio. Solana simplemente es un monstruo. Solana, el nivel más importante a Solana romper es este, 94. Te llevas los 94 en cierres semanales y vas a los 130, mínimo en los Solamis. Pero todavía falta para la confirmación. Lo que sí ya tienes es esa divergencia alcista jugando a la alza. Y a mí lo que más me llamó la atención de todo esto es acá, en esta caída, le dijeron a todo el mundo, ¿no? Que íbamos a bombardear a Irán y no sé qué. En esta nueva caída de Bitcoin y en esta nos enseñaron bombas que Michael Saylor iba a quebrar. Malas noticias. Malas noticias en una caída marcan fondos. Cuando no te dan malas noticias va a seguir cayendo. A mí me llama eso la atención. Ok, voy a contestar un par de preguntas acá que estaba viendo desde mi computadora, desde mi ordenador. Un segundo. Bienvenido de nuevo a Elite Trading Academy. A ver. El miércoles estaba sudando a tener temor a ser liquidado en Tesla. Ayer no tenía esperanza en la mañana y hasta como eso de las 10 a.m. Tesla se desplomó. En los milagros sí existen, felicidades. Sí, bueno, les dieron, no sabía que, y ahora sí se me fue, que venían los resultados de Tesla. Qué buena acogida le dieron a todos los grandes inversores en Tesla. Los grandes inversores en Tesla también me recuerdan mucho a los Bitcoiners, ¿no? Y ahora, a los que también les va a tocar es a los grandes inversores en Rivian. No quieren comprender esto, pero a Rivian también se los van a coger parados, en mi opinión. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Pasando el nivel de los 19, acá de los 18.90, acá tienes posibilidad de volver a continuar más a la alza. Pero también tienes un cero de volatilidad a la alza definitivo acá en Rivian, pero no tienes divergencias alcistas en altas temporalidades. Para mí Rivian también dio como buenas noticias para nada. La que no tiene sentido es Lucid. Lucid vendió más coches y está vendiendo una tercera parte de lo que vende Rivian y está valuada en una décima parte de lo que está valuado Rivian. En una décima. Esto es para mí, y aparte tienes divergencias alcistas, por supuesto, en la semanal en Lucid. Este fue tu mínimo, el fondo más bajo del RSI, ¿no? Y ese no es el fondo, tío. El fondo pasó aquí. Entonces Lucid también te da esta y todavía mejor, te da esta mega divergencia alcista de aquí a acá. Entonces el RSI había estado solamente en ese entonces, que estaba muy arriba, más abajo que ahorita. Me gusta lo que estoy viendo hasta ahorita en todo esto. Pero sí, felicidades ahí por jugar Tesla bien. Y ahora esto va a ser interesante, ¿eh? No les voy a mentir. Porque si empezamos a ver que Tesla se va para abajo y rechaza, y luego vienes acá y rechazas, ¿no? Para Tesla es fácil. Lo único que tienes que hacer es poner una línea meme aquí, así. En realidad tienes hasta esta zona en agosto del 2026 para salirte de acá. Pero si vas para abajo, Tesla va a venir a la línea roja. Si rompes aquí. Y también no entiendo cómo vergas tiene sentido que Tesla esté, bueno, también que vendieron más unidades, sí. Pero, güey, ellos mismos tienen que pagar el incentivo fiscal y también los descuentos de los intereses. No, no estoy diciendo que solo Tesla, pero yo creo que todas las empresas están mintiendo. Y ahora, wow, me sorprendería si todo el sistema empresarial, ¿no? Corporativo de Estados Unidos que controla todo está mintiendo. No. No, para nada, tíos. Alejandro, no entiendo por qué algunas personas cuando están invirtiendo prefieren vender posiciones para comprar más abajo. ¿No es mejor agregar en lo que el precio baja? Técnicamente no suena bien eso. Sí, no tienes toda la razón. Es la manera de hacerlo. La idea es, si estás comprando a largo plazo, no vender, agregar cuando baje más. Y dice Mariano, es justo lo más obvio. Preciso el otro día de la independencia, en el día de la independencia, donde los mercados están cerrados, salió hasta el señor Putin anunciando la legalización de Bitcoin y cripto. En mi X no para de salirme el calvo de Coinbase debatiendo sobre Bitcoin. Ahorita vemos Fartcoin. Fartcoin tiene divergencias alcistas, tío, en la semanal. No entiendo qué pedo, pero Fartcoin está arriba 76% desde el fondo. Mariano, lo acabo de poner yo, se los enseñé, no sé si lo viste. Para Fartcoin, rapidísimo. Para Fartcoin, para que te vayas al cielo, Lo único que tienes que hacer es reventarte esto. Ese nivel. Ahorita estás justamente peleándote por el del primer fondo, y tienes divergencias alcistas en la semanal. El fondo de acá, que es el más bajo, es más alto que este fondo de acá, que es este. Es una gran divergencia alcista jugando, ya se llevó el máximo. Farcon ya lo tiene. Buenos días, tengo un corto abierto en Solana en 82.50, basándome en los rechazos que podría haber en el EMA sin diario. Quisiera agregar más a mi posición. Estoy viendo que hoy nuevamente está haciendo resistencia en el mismo lugar. ¿Es buena idea agregar más ahorita o esperar a que cierre la vela diaria para confirmar la resistencia? Yo esperaría cerrar la vela diaria, a cerrar la resistencia. La razón por qué es por esto. Tienes un setup de volatilidad empujando el precio para arriba. Cuando viniste la última vez a tocar el promedio del 100, lo hiciste aquí atrás. Y en ese entonces solamente hiciste un SFP. Si ahorita simplemente te rechaza, ya en tu posición vas a ganarle rico. Te debería de traer mínimo de vuelta a los $75, si es que no a los 73. Si es que te da este rechazo. Pero si esta chingadera cierra por encima de, siguiente objetivo son 93. Y ahorita le digo a Alex bueno, Alex y ellos lo van a ver. Sara, ayer dijiste que te falta meter un poco en Coin y Circle. En caso de que no llegue el precio, ¿ibas a meterlo en algún otro dip? Voy a ver qué hago. Todavía no estoy considerando eso sea el caso. Mi pregunta es, ¿no es mejor meterlos, aunque sea un poco arriba por la subida que darán? ¿O de verdad sí es mejor moverte a algo más? Depende de lo que vaya a suceder y las oportunidades que hayan en ese momento. Todavía no estoy viendo nada que me diga. Estoy viendo muchas cosas, pero no hay ninguna confirmación de que esto ya va a pasar. Entonces, lo peor que puedo hacer es meterme en FOMO de creo que va a pasar esto. Marie, hola tío Salo, Alex y Fagan, agradecido por lo que estoy aprendiendo con ustedes. Tío, Netflix para inversión. No vamos a ver tablas normales hoy, nos estamos enfocando en cripto porque el mercado está cerrado. Tío Salo, quiero dejar esto por aquí. Sí, cuando ponemos las alertas, esto lo he dicho 1000 veces, de los trades, se cae la página por el tráfico. Y para nosotros poder arreglar ese problema, tenemos que construir un sitio desde scratch y cuesta demasiado dinero para lo que nos llevamos en esta mamada. Entonces tienen que, por favor, aguantar esos pedos. Una duda que no me deja en paz. Ahorita estamos invirtiendo en Coinbase Circle, guiándome por el precio de Bitcoin, pero pensar en el futuro para el 2027, cuando las empresas entren en masa, ¿no crees que habrá un divorcio inevitable? Bitcoin se quedará como reserva, pero Coinbase y Circle van a facturar por el número brutal de transacciones en el mundo cripto sin importar el precio de Bitcoin. Voy a detenerme ahí rápido, Richie, a decir, lo único que estoy haciendo es captando el miedo del mercado bajista en cripto, ¿ok? No es una apuesta que siempre espero que se vaya correlacionada uno a uno. Hasta ahorita Coinbase lo ha hecho, pero porque cripto solamente es el mercado de cripto. Y sí, estoy esperando a que a cierto punto ya no haya correlación. Es correcto. Para mi inquietud es, si el mercado ve que la infraestructura ya camina sola, ¿no crees que las ballenas podrían armar un cisne? Olvídate armar cisnes negros. Tirar Bitcoin al piso, da eso todo completamente igual para meter pánico. No lo veas nada así. No tiene nada que ver una con otra. Simplemente estás relacionando el precio de Bitcoin ahorita porque todavía no hay nada más que esté en el precio y todavía Bitcoin y estas empresas se mueven juntas. A cierto punto va a desaparecer esa relación, no te la puedes llevar a casa para siempre. Tío, ¿cómo ves la noticia durante el juego de México y Ecuador de que Banxico le compraría deuda al gobierno? ¿Qué tan adelantados o retrasados estamos en México y sus políticas económicas respecto a Estados Unidos? No tengo ni puta idea. Es completamente otro sistema y de nuevo, no importa lo que te digan, todo es mentira. La cosa es entender por qué te están diciendo eso. Hola, tío. Petróleo ya comenzó con una tendencia alcista. Sería bueno entrar long en el petróleo y tenemos que esperar la narrativa de alguna escasez. Hola, Alejandro, gracias por lo que das. Dices, el tipo más pendejo del mundo. Puedes revisar hype para un trade. Ok. Buenos días, soy nuevo en la secta. En Salud hice un curso de trading, pero voy empezando. Los únicos, Aldo, indicadores que usaría en este momento son mis líneas memes y los EMAs, los promedios, si voy a empezar de cero. Es lo único que usaría. Pregunta para los inversores a largo plazo. En caso de que la bolsa suba hasta después de las elecciones, ¿cuándo te refieres? ¿Va a vender para entrar más abajo? ¿Tú estás hablando también de Lucid o solo de las influidas por Bitcoin? Todo se mueve diferente. Todo se mueve diferente. No puedes generalizar todo, nunca, porque el dinero siempre rota en todos los ciclos. Entonces, ¿por qué nos adelantamos a ver qué escenario, ¿no? Un escenario en específico que va a pasar, ¿no? Que todavía ni siquiera tenemos una subida. ¿Hasta dónde ves que pueda corregir a la baja Solana? Lo acabo de decir, 73, 75 ahorita. Ese soy yo. Alex y Farhan piensan que Solana puede llegar a los 40, entre 30 y 40 dólares. Personalmente yo no. Yo veo la divergencia alcista en la semanal. Yo digo que para arriba. Pero ahorita lo analizan. Quiero hacerte una pregunta sobre USDC Cup en la tabla de 6 meses. Ok, ahorita vemos eso. Ok, voy a empezar ya con esto. Vamos a empezar rápido. Hay preguntas de Solana, no hay preguntas de Ethereum, entonces voy a empezar con eso. Salamis. Who's going to do salamis? Alex?
Yeah, let me do that. Wherever that is. Because it has been just on an absolute tear, honestly, the last few days. I'm very curious to see where the Sol BTC pairing is really in terms of like higher time frame levels, because I think that'll really dictate, kind of the chart moving forward. Okay, what do we have here? So we did hit that 1019 level, and that was a big zone actually. That was our zone that we wanted to see actually hit since really the monthly 9 rejection here in January. And so that was really in October where we broke out, and you do notice that you really didn't get any kind of retest from that. So really a big spot so far, indicating to me that, okay, that was, in terms of like bottoming, my bottoming zone was right into that 1019 level. But now you do see you are just at the monthly EMA 9 again, and you really haven't hit this in a very long time. You do notice here your last official monthly EMA 9 retest was right into November 2025. So it's been quite a while, over a month, over a year, I mean. And so that's what makes this rally very important to be watching, because if you end up rejecting this monthly 9, well, that'll end up being really disastrous for bulls, actually, because implications will be you'll go back to these lows, and then you'll either just want chop, or you might be in the scenario where you deviate it, causing an absolute capitulating style candle on silver Bitcoin, and even dragging the monthly 9 down, causing a monthly silver cross to the downside. Something you've never really had before on silver's Bitcoin. You do see you're literally at the closest point ever in this chart's history, but it hasn't crossed yet, so it's not confirmed. And even more so, you do see you're really right at the monthly 9 now, but there's 28 days left to go. So big spot here of interest for Sol BTC. It is at resistance, but if you do start really closing above 1354, even on like a daily candle close, that's going to be your first implication that yes, the monthly 9 is starting to actually get reclaimed. Till then, this could just be the next lower high spot right at a monthly 9. The last spot that really started this major capitulation move down essentially for Sol. Look at this, went down 40% on its monthly 9. So monthly silver cross, you don't want to happen really if you're a bull. That'll be historical. And we can just start going down the time frames and seeing here. Okay, we have a bi-weekly silver cross, bi-weekly nines, literally been holding Solana down for super long time. And now you see you've just hit the 21. So still in bi-weekly silver cross posturing to the downside, while bi-weekly BBWP is still contracting. So you can see, like, make the case, like, if bulls really do push up, get back above the 1.3 level, that'll be a really good sign for maybe higher up into the 1.5, 1.6. But even the weekly here is possibly giving you a weekly buy trigger. It's just not confirmed. So even the most bullish bulls are wanting the close at this current point and just some retests here. That'll logically lift us up towards the weekly EMI 100. Now, something to note on Sol versus Bitcoin's weekly BBWP is you are really getting a pretty massive setup in this region. If into next week this starts confirming expansion, this will be one of the biggest setups you've ever seen on Sol versus Bitcoin's chart. Playing into the idea something major is coming here for Sol versus Bitcoin and possibly across the board for alts. But still not confirmed yet. This is just looking good. We're still more likely in a rejection zone, and you've just now for the second time hit massive resistance. The only other time you've hit this was back in February. So way better to just wait and see on this chart. Because I think the 5-day, you really do see the spot that we're currently in. It's a really good rally, and you even got a 5-day buy trigger, and even the throwback. That has an implication for like the weekly, possibly doing that exact thing. 5-day volatility setup firing off. But what's stopping us right now is, major resistance here. You do see this was the last spot Sol versus Bitcoin really started to find footing before breaking out. This breakout here was pretty big. I mean, this went up 59%, essentially 60%. And you can see this is the spot where like big breakouts like to occur. Here's another one. This took you up 127%. And then the first reclaim didn't fully get the retest, but hey, you still broke out and came in for one, and it held. And then that ended up giving you over 200%, specifically 234%. So you notice this red line on Sol versus Bitcoin rejects you massively. Once you get above, if you hold it, you break out over 50%. Over 50%. And then here, over 50%, even on this tiny move. Let's actually measure this really tiny one, this range play. And this is after it's hit it multiple times. Computer's being a little slow. So it went up 14%. So that just plays into the idea better on Sol versus Bitcoin to wait. You want to start seeing those weekly, really weekly candles populate here before getting too excited. You still have a weekly volatility setup even. So if you get into a weekly buy trigger, how easy would that be? Weekly volatility just takes you right up to the 100, even the weekly SMA 200 at current market price. That still is about 16 to 20% away. So there's really no FOMO on if this will go up. It is going up. You're at resistance. Let's wait for the weekly buy trigger 2 to 3 weeks above the 34. And in that case, you will break out, or you start closing dailies back above 1356. That's going to be your first big sign this is breaking out. On the daily perspective, you are getting a major shift. Sol versus Bitcoin did get back above its SMA 200. So you do have legs to be bullish here. But have you retested its SMA 200? Have you gotten a higher low yet after a higher high? Let's see. I don't know why this has been really slow. It's crazy. Close some tabs. There we go. And so you did retest daily SMA 200, but you haven't gotten any kind of higher low here. So this absolutely can even afford a pullback, which does result into a bullish breakout at extreme reads on volatility. A higher low here is what even the most bullish bulls want. So again, that plays right into, let's see if the weekly closes here, gets a pullback, most likely produces a daily higher low. And in that case, your weekly buy trigger will fire off volatility. causing it to go up to 152 region minimum. Where will you know this is breaking down? Well, if you start rejecting here and then coming all the way back under 1124, that's where this is going to break the lows. I know that seems like a major move down from this point. Or if you even just get back under the 34, I think that'll be actually the appropriate first big cause of concern, because that's where then this daily buy trigger is not there and this weekly volatility setup is on the verge. So actually it's get back under the weekly 34 and then close dailies under 1124. To me, that'll start confirming this has topped. This was some major lower high, and we are about to break down to new lows that we've never seen really since 2022 to 2021. Just these lows here, this and this section. So nice on the cusp, silver versus Bitcoin. Let's see how it is versus Tether, because it is on the cusp. It's really on the cusp of reclaiming that zone. And again, I'll say it one more time, that zone, every time you get weekly candle closures and it holds, you go up at minimum over, well, we saw it at least over 50% upon the first reclaim, but then even over 10% even after it's hit it multiple times. Boom, went up, and then boom, this went up 20, almost 20%. So literally, this chart literally shows it the best. You are literally at the verge of literally bottoming out and breaking out on silver's Bitcoin. That's why then you have to really put a lot of weight on that monthly EMA9 retest. So silver's Tether is telling the exact same story here. Weekly is breaking out in a downtrend, and if you want to really long, you're waiting for the new weekly candle closure. You've noticed the weekly 9's been solid resistance, and that is coming in right into $78. If you close this week, your retest into that, Sol versus Bitcoin retest that we mentioned at the weekly buy trigger most likely correlates to a weekly EMA9 retest, which then that'll give you a setup up to around $88 or just the 21. Understand the last time you broke the 9, you tried to aggressively retest the 9 on the weekly. It lost it, and that's what sparked the next leg down on Sol. So here, if you break out and you don't hold the weekly 9 into next week, that's going to be the implication at the end of this month is really when Sol versus Bitcoin and Sol versus Tether is going to start breaking down to new lows. Because this still isn't a downtrend. We have a lower low. This gave you a lower high potential, and you're putting bullish price structure, but you're still overall in lower high posturing. Most likely then means dailies in an uptrend, higher time frames are in a downtrend. Now, the daily is a little different here. You're at resistance. You're in the middle of a pretty big range, and you do see that you have not even retested 75.80. So that at least tells me that we are absolutely more poised to, not break down, but have a logical pullback to a daily higher low before maybe breaking this massive daily EMA 100. This daily EMA 100 was the last spot that rejected us before going down to new lows. That's why this is going to be the massive zone, and this has really been rejecting us since October. So if you do end up seeing Solana even close, let's see here. This closed, let's count it. 1, 2. So if you start seeing it close 3 to 4 daily candles above its EMA 100, that's the shift, and that's most likely what's going to break us out towards 94. But actually, I remember now, the trade here was just waiting for the SFP of the daily EMA 100. ETA max shorted the EMA 100 retest, and that was the pretty good short that took us to new lows. So the fact that now we're at the daily EMA 100 means that this is a big spot for bulls and bears. You're either going to get the reclaim and start moving up towards the 90s, and there's your weekly Sol versus Bitcoin buy trigger, weekly volatility firing off. Or you're going to reject here. This was a false breakout. This was a retest of the 100. And once you actually close back under 72 is when Sol's going to go on an epic move down towards 58. So, okay, daily's not very clear. Uptrend, still in higher high, higher low. So pullback more likely unless you break daily EMA 100. But then when you go to the weekly here, it says, okay, weekly volatility setup, biggest one you've ever seen. So a major move is coming here on Sol. You're getting expansion. You're on the verge of firing off, possibly in the next week or the week after that. Sometime into this month, most likely you fire this major weekly volatility setup. You do notice you are getting back above the weekly 9, but you did this before in May, so that's why we need at least 1 to 2 candle closures above that 9. At least 2 is a better way to say it, 2, because here you just got 1 and then you broke down. So if you start seeing that, then yeah, you really can start making a case for higher on Solana. But again, you're just not there yet. This is still too immature to really just be calling for higher, up to 100. I don't see that quite yet. Only until you hold your weekly 9 and your weekly buy trigger on Sol versus Bitcoin is when then I can see easily $90 on Sol and possibly higher. But now we need to be watching in the next week this kind of dynamic, assuming we do even close above the weekly 9. I am on the camp we are going to probably close above that. But we'll have to see. If this ends up rejecting and coming all the way down under 76 in like 1 or 2 days, then yeah, this was cooked. Okay, biweekly shows macro trend better despite daily being in an uptrend. Perfectly okay, just plays in the bull trap environment. And so you do see here in a pretty logical downtrend for Solana here. You do see that your major lower highs have been produced off of the biweekly 9. And so that's at 85.69. So then more likely then maybe the weekly does hold the 9 and we do start breaking out towards $85. But then that most likely does start rejecting. If, let's say, you do start seeing this daily EMA 100 hold, that's going to be your first big sign that lower time frames like daily are shifting more than bull trap posturing, and maybe things are actually becoming very bullish for this chart. Again, multiple closures above the 100, or just play the weekly. So you have 2 setups here, weekly or even daily. Do we reject the 5 or do we go up to the 9? It's going to be the big question here. But still,
just real quick, the person asking for Sol, he's saying, I have a short open on Solana at 82.50 based on the reject of the EMA 100 on the daily. Should I add more or should I wait for it to close?
I'd wait for it to close.
Yeah, right. That's what I said before even asking you, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but yeah, I said, hold on to your horses. Let me ask.
Yeah, because really how it's looking now is possibly distribution, at least on daily, which plays into a higher low. There's no need to add here because you're not getting the tap and go on the 100, which usually you get. So then I would then just wait for today's close. If you even close above this, cut the trade into tonight, I'd add more here. Because why you wouldn't add now is because you're still 8 hours before the daily and Bitcoin's still flirting with 62. So like if this ends up reclaiming this 100, you're going to be glad you didn't add and you could just cut the trade. But if we end up closing below it, then yeah, into tonight on a new daily candle, I would actually add more to the 100 and even be observing if you're going to be putting in like daily price divergence here on a wick basis. Notice how this high didn't take out, or this high has been holding, and then today's high didn't really take out yesterday's high. Does tonight's high not take out today's high, if that makes sense. So yeah, no, Sol, I mean, it's on the verge. It's on the verge of a big move. And we just know that's 100% accurate to say because we've never seen that weekly volatility setup. So I do think it's smart for people to be paying attention to the 100. It's been really important since October. And if you do start seeing 2 to 3 daily candle closures above that, I really think that probably is going to be an easy long zone up to around 90s, honestly.
Perfect. Thank you, senor. Okay. So hype would be next for you, Mr. Farhano.
All right.
Just give me 1 second. I'll finish this one real quick because I kind of already gave the overview of everything. Si volteas a ver Solana Bitcoin, esto es como lo ve Alex, ¿no? Volteas a ver Solana Bitcoin, puedes ver, y él tiene, me parece que esto más arriba que yo, aquí. Correcto, aquí. Porque tienes el rechazo acá, etcétera. Bien. Y también tienes, en realidad, esta línea meme que viene acá, un segundito, que viene desde acá abajo, ¿no? En cuando salió la moneda, estos fondos acá. Y ahora, estás ante la posibilidad de que estas dos zonas que se están juntando te rechacen y vayas para abajo. ¿Ok? Lo que sí es que en la semanal tienes un setup de volatilidad preparándose y tienes que ponerle muchísima atención porque este sería el setup de volatilidad más duro que ha tenido esta tabla. Y si te lo da para arriba, pues, tío, tu siguiente objetivo sería en realidad el S&P 200, ¿no? Pero si te lo da para abajo, esto se va a ir básicamente a cero, ¿no? Casi, casi. Otra cosa que puede hacer esto, bueno, no, en realidad lo que quieres es ver cierres por encima de esta zona. Por eso hasta ahorita no puedes voltearte y decir esto ya es completamente alcista. La otra cosa es acá en Solana, justamente lo que está diciendo es, en la semanal estás viendo que va a cerrar por arriba del promedio del 9. Le gustaría ver dos cierres semanales por encima del promedio del 9 acá. ¿Por qué? Porque ya viste uno acá y luego instantáneamente te rechazó y te mandó a la chingada. Y en la diaria estás ante el promedio del 100. Tu pregunta es, ¿debo de agregar más ahorita o esperarme a que cierre? Esperarte a que cierre es la respuesta correcta. ¿Por qué? Porque normalmente cuando tocas el promedio del 100 debería ser un rechazo rápido y no te lo está dando. Si no te está dando el rechazo, mínimo te va a dar un buen SFP, ¿no? Y eso te va a llevar mucho más arriba y puede que te la atore. Entonces te esperas, ves cómo cierras. Si cierras por encima, te sales y reentras, si es que tiene sentido. O en el retesteo puedes también apostar para arriba. Pero por ahorita, con un setup de volatilidad expandiendo justamente donde estás, lo mejor que puedes hacer es simplemente esperarte a que cierre esta vela antes de tomar una decisión de voy a agregar más aquí cuando no has tenido más validación de que el movimiento va a funcionar. Aquí lo que está haciendo es literalmente baiteando a los cortos, porque te está diciendo, ve, güey, este máximo acá no lo hemos superado, entra. Entonces, ojo ahí con eso. Pero una vez que te cierres por encima del promedio del 100 y que tengas tu cierre por encima del promedio del 9 semanal y luego la próxima semana tengas más, además de la divergencia alcista que tienes en el RSI en Solana, esto tiene cara que podría llegar a los 100, pero es paso a paso, uno por uno. All right, señor. Some hype, investment and a trade, actually.
Alrighty, both investment and trade. Let me share my screen. There we go. Beautiful. We'll start with the investment. Let me delete this. Alrighty. Coolio. Zoom out. There. So on the 2-week, we got momentum now flipping freshly back up. We're getting a rejection of going below the moving average. Previously, you were forming some bearish divergence. I believe you took it out at this high. Now you are forming another possible drive of bearish divergence because you did make a closing higher high. Although this is going to require a close below $52.67 to confirm. And as of now, you are continuing the closures over the 38.2%. You got a back test, kind of front ran a little bit, and you are getting some nice expansion off of that. And your target remains the 78.6, which you did previously get rejections of, and it is now moved up to somewhere around $77.40, which is a nice new all-time high by nothing really, just a couple dollars over the current all-time high. And this is flipping back up within the critical zone, so likely we'll see a nice little move up on that. Let's go into weekly. Weekly is also now flipping freshly back up, putting in hidden bullish divergence, which will confirm with any close over $69.56. Nice number. And that will send you up towards somewhere around $76 to $77. That's just going to be a current tap of your all-time highs. Next level is going to be about $90, $90 to $100. We do have a sell signal on the jewel, however. Once you confirm a local bottom, though, that will be invalidated. 5-day is currently flipped down with volatility starting to tick up, and 5-day is getting a move into the median, which currently, if you get any type of close over $67.81, that will put a local bottom on the 5-day, and you're going to be targeting somewhere around $85 to $90. And you're also putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence on the 5-day, which will confirm with any close over 67.81. 2 days also now flipping back up. Then 2 days putting in also hidden bullish divergence, which will confirm with any close over 67.81, and 67.81, and that'll take you towards $80. Daily is also flipped up. Are you making a higher high? No, so there's no bearish divergence here. And daily is now getting above the 38.2%, which is at $69.60. Nice number. Came almost perfect to a perfect number at 69.69, but we can't always have that. And if we get a daily close over $69.60, you should see it move up into somewhere around 78 to $80. In that situation, wouldn't really be a trade because you'd be chasing the move. If you were forced, like, gun to the head to take a position, then you could do like a test of $69, although that's not optimal. 12 hours also closing over the 38.2% gives you a move to the 78.6. That is at $75. Let's go to the 4 hour. 4 hour has tapped the 78.6 with the momentum now flipping down, although this hasn't confirmed, and volatility is going into contraction. From here, if you are more likely to tap the 5, which is around $68.80. That gives you a net move to $69. Although I wouldn't want to long that, considering look how much you've already gone up. Alrighty, let's look at RSI. Oopsie, I saved. Hype DT. Two-week is now in the critical zone. If you were to come back down and test the critical zone, that puts you at $60. Weekly is putting in a local bottom. This will confirm with any close over 69.56, and then that gives you a move into somewhere around 85 to 90-ish dollars. Okay. 5 days also has a local bottom. Simple moving average is at $71. 3 days got hidden bullish divergence. The neutral zone's at $62. I guess if you're forced to take a position somewhere around as close to $60 as possible, and then from there you'd be targeting current highs at 75 to 77, and then $100. But for the longer term position, 2 day currently has active hidden bullish divergence. You get support at $60, and the critical zone is sitting at 113. Daily's also got hidden bullish divergence. You get support at 60-ish bucks, $62, $63, and the bullish control zone's at $80. 4 hours also got hidden bullish divergence. The bullish control zone's at $66. $69 for the simple moving average. Nice number. $67 for the bullish control zone. Like you're gonna see a little bit of a pullback on the short time frame. So the simple moving average is $69. Bullish control zone 68. Alrighty. Let's go. Oh fuck! Saved it again. Let's go into the momentum. Alright. 2 week is currently flipped up as long as you're closing over $60, $60.72. I like to see that pivot. Weekly is currently flipped down and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 75.66. 5 days currently about to freshly flip up, and it will flip back up if you close over 62.20, and you're putting in hidden bullish divergence on the 5 day. 2 days currently flipped down, but it will very close to freshly flipping back up and putting in hidden bullish divergence with any close over 63.80. Daily is currently flipped back up with hidden bullish divergence, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $60, 61, 65 cents, let's say. And 4 hours flipped up, and it's going to remain up as long as you're closing above $70, very close to flipping down. 2 hour has flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $70.30. And hourly, it's also flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $70.60. So now you're likely to get a pullback on the lower time frames, anywhere as close to $60 as possible. I would try to get entries into both trades and or short-term trade and longer-term positioning. Probably going to be somewhere around mid to upper 60s, because your current low is at $60. So somewhere around, like, ideally $65 to $68 for that entry. Then it gives you that stop at somewhere around $60 exactly. And then from there, you're targeting your current highs for the short-term trade at like $75 to $77, and for the longer-term positioning, you're targeting more towards $100.
Nice. Now let's look for a silver trade here. Something that we were already gauging. Right when we hit that 58.70 region, you were really either looking for a rejection down, which granted you did get, and it was pretty nice. You went down all the way back to around 55.70, but you were just going to observe you did not take out June 24's wick low. And then silver here started to reclaim back above 58.78. That was a big sign. Getting back above its daily 9 was a major sign, and now getting expansion. That's why for me, after we covered our silver shorts here, we're really just looking for a weekly bearish retest. I really thought into that new weekly candle closure. It just seemed like majority were very bearish on silver. And also, silver really had a pretty easy free move down towards its EMA 100 after tapping the weekly 34. So to me, this just made a lot of sense to start moving up, get a mean reversion, bounce up towards 64.70, retest, and then break down towards the weekly EMA 100. You do notice that is slowly starting to happen. I do believe into this week we possibly can see the move up, and this is causing like Bitcoin to even move up, or they're both moving up at the same time. Rather, not causing, but just moving up at the same time, which I believe can be kind of an easy gauge on. Maybe we have a little more upside on Solana, maybe a little more upside on Bitcoin, but we're pretty near. At least we're gonna get some kind of rejection. Now, a trade, I'm looking personally for shorts of silver on the weekly 5 and also at 64.70. And my stop loss will just be right at $68. I'm looking for this trade to give me my next weekly lower high. And on that lower high formed, we're going to break down, confirmed once you take out June 22nd's low, targeting down towards 53.40. I do believe this will be a big spot for silver to retest. Look at the wick high rejections here. Look at the breakouts. Look at the move up. This is literally the spot that started it all for silver. Literally, silver was trading at 54 before it went on a parabolic move all the way up into the 120s from a $55 reclaim. So for us, I do believe that's the smart trade to actually be looking for. Play the weekly downtrend essentially, and try to really gauge your lower highs off that weekly 5 and right into 64.70. Plays right into the monthly 9, getting a retest. You do see that silver's been holding the monthly 9 for a long time. So it does make sense to see some kind of rally on silver this month, get a retest into the monthly 9, and then on that retest, actually start rejecting down. And again, I'd want to see the monthly 21 hold. You haven't officially hit that yet. And that was the last bottoming zone, like what we saw back in April. Came all the way down, hit the 21, and then moved up. So even the monthly is confirming this trade idea, which is you should start shorting silver around that $65, $66 region. Daily EMA 9 says 21 is more likely here to be retested. And again, that just plays into the weekly 5. Remember, stop loss at 68, entries around $64 to $66, and shorts are TPing that around $54. I do believe that's a pretty high probability short trade, plays macro downtrend. And even here, you have a beautiful daily 21. That was the last big rejection spot. So most likely we have a daily silver cross to the downside. So still respects the daily silver cross. Once you break this 21 and actually get back above that 64.70, is when you most likely go up to the SMA 200 on the daily and reclaim that. Once you reclaim daily SMA 200, you will move up to the $83 on silver and essentially fill all of this move out. But again, like I mentioned with the monthly 9 just freshly becoming lost this month, you should have no reason to be bullish on silver. This looks very bearish. It looks like you're just typical breakdown, lower low. And now what we're doing is taking out aggressive shorts while monthly 9 is looming a bearish retest. Last time you officially lost that monthly 9 was here back in January 2024, where you did rally up to it. And then that did reject you back down to the lows of 6%. Now, this is when silver was still trading like silver somewhat, no volatility before it broke out. But even look at here, the breakout, blow off top, monthly downtrend. And then you can really see once silver starts losing its monthly 9 here, even the first time, it rejected it and came down 24%. Reclaimed it, lost it, came down another 19%, reclaimed it, lost it, rejected it, and that's when you came down 40%. So every single time you lost your monthly 9 on that blow off top here, last blow off top, essentially silver did go down after its monthly 9 was lost. So that's at $66. So I'd be watching that very carefully. But yeah, that's my silver trade, and I do believe it just lines up with what we were looking at already. And so, right, bullish scenario, daily SMA 200 is key for bulls. But for now, we're just going to play our weekly bearish retest, lines up with the monthly. This is a lot easier than longing, and we're just going to be looking for something like that. Stop loss at 68, TP at 54. Hopefully that kind of explains it. Once we do reach 54 on silver, I'm basically done being a bear. That'll line up nicely with my Bitcoin bottom scenario if it does come, and I can't really become much more bearish on Bitcoin and silver. We are hitting my massive zones into the 50s.
So the validation would be the weekly wick, right?
Yeah, basically. You could use that or a little higher at 68.
Okay. Yeah. All righty. Thank you, senors. 1 second. What is next? Okay, after this, we just got one more, which is 1 second. It's a long question, but I saw someone had it too. It was 2 people asking for the same thing. Oh, USD COP, which is the Colombian peso. USD COP. And there's a question attached to it. So I'll get back to it in a second. Ok. Plata. Plata es bastante sencilla. Si la puedes ver en la mensual, puedes ver, estás en una tendencia bajista, ¿no? Por lo que vamos a irnos más a corto que cualquier otra cosa. Tienes el promedio del 9 justo acá, en los 65.90, ¿no? Aquí lo puedes ver, 65.90. Entonces, ¿qué otra cosa puedes utilizar para hacer esto? Te vas a ir a tu semanal y en la semanal vas a ver que este nivel ha sido muy importante para la plata. Una vez que lo perdiste, una vez que lo ganaste más bien, fue el mercado súper alcista. Una vez que lo perdiste, pues comienza lo feo, ¿no? Y acá lo que estarías buscando es básicamente un corto en contra de esto para continuar cayendo y con una invalidación acá, usando esta vela en los 67, déjame ver cuál es el alto exactamente, 67.15, o puedes usar los 68 por cualquier cosa, lo que tú gustes, que sería más o menos este nivel aquí arriba. Cualquiera de estos dos. Y tu entrada simplemente en el promedio del 9 mensual. O la más apretada sería el promedio del 9 semanal, pero está más arriba que el promedio del 9 mensual. Y el promedio del 9 mensual debería de regir esto porque el promedio del 9 mensual es mucho más fuerte resistencia si lo va a hacer que el promedio semanal. Entonces, tu entrada en el promedio mensual está en 65.9 y tu salida sea en 67.15 o $68 para la plata. Para Hype, un segundo. ¿Por qué verga se fue esto para arriba? Ok. Para Hype es más sencilla la cosa que no. Lo que estarías buscando es simplemente un retesteo de esta zona para subirte en un long, porque continúa en una fuerte tendencia alcista. Esta zona está entre 68.85 y el promedio del 9, pero no sé si te vaya a dar el promedio del 9 de vuelta. Yo creo que si empieza a subir más del bajo de esta vela, sí, pero si ves que se lleva esta vela para abajo, te pondría en peligro de que empiece una tendencia bajista. Y tu invalidación obviamente estaría aquí en $58 para ese long. Entonces, esto y esto es lo que esperas en Hype y te saldrías por ahí de los entre 78 y $80. Es lo que se ve, pero Hype está en una clara tendencia alcista, ¿no? Lo puedes ver más claro que el agua. Bajos, altos más altos, bajos más altos, altos más altos, bajos más altos sería por acá para ir a altos más altos. All right, so USD COP. And let me ask you the question 1 second. It's right here. On the 6-month chart, the last candle broke the EMA 9 to the downside. Now, en estos 6 meses, última vela, hizo retesteo del promedio del 5 y siguió bajando. In the last 6 months, it made a retest of the 5 and it continued to go down. Llegaremos a valores no vistos hace 5 años. La volatilidad está por subir para arriba. Do you think the volatility setup is going to make it continue go down or go up?
Retest of the 5? I'm not sure if we're looking.
One more time. On the 6-month chart.
Okay.
1 second. Let me put it on my screen so you see it. USD COP. So he's saying on the 6-month chart, the last yearly candle broke the 9 average. This one right here. You see it? This one. So this is like a year ago, and this is now. Well, this is like the first 6 months of this year, and then this is this. Empezó a romper el promedio del 9 a la baja. En estos 6 meses, la última vela hizo un retesteo del promedio del 5. It's saying that it retested the 5 monthly EMA, but it did not. So no ha retestado el promedio del 5 en estas velas, a menos de que lo hayas escrito mal, mi estimado. Estás en valores que no veías hace 5 años, es correcto, desde el 2020. La volatilidad está por subir por encima del promedio. ¿Crees que el movimiento será a la baja? Sí. Do you think?
Mine touched.
Huh?
On mine, it touched the 5.
It did?
Yeah.
All right, so you have another one. Okay, so what he's asking right now is, you're looking at volatility that's about to expand. Do you think it's going to expand towards the downside and help it move down or not? So I'll put your screen on and let you tell me.
Let's take a look. So we do have momentum still very heavily to the downside. It's starting to tick up just a little bit though, but this would just be more of a bearish retest posturing instead of momentum actually flipping up. It would still be under the moving average, and volatility is starting to tick down from the very extremes. It's very possible this move up could already be fulfilled, considering you've kind of tapped your 78.6. But let's get down to the lower time frames. You got the quarterly also at very extreme levels to the downside, and volatility at very extremes. You got price now closing below the 97.5%. You got a retest of your 97.5% at the 55, and you're just getting a move down from there. Let's go lower. Monthly is also now freshly flipping back down. If you zoom in here, you're putting some possibility of bullish divergence, but this is just a possibility and very unlikely this is going to confirm anytime soon. And you're continuing back into the sell signal on the jewel. Lower. 2 to 2 week is also flipping back down with volatility expansion. Weekly is getting close to the 100%. So now this is what tells me that you're closer than not to a local bottom. And I mean local bottom, not anywhere near a reversal. But once you get around 3,300 at 3,320, anywhere below 3,320, it is more likely than not that you're going to bounce before the candle closure to maintain closures within that 100% range. And then we have to see where the ranges move to after that. 5 day is already maxed out on both momentum and volatility. 2 days now freshly flipping back down. So this does take you slightly lower, so you can tap that 100%. Here would be 95%, around like 33.12, 33.10, somewhere in that region. Is this really 3,350 Colombian pesos for $1? Wow, everything in Colombia must be free. That's crazy. What does a Coca-Cola cost? Like 15,000 pesos?
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy. Someone sent me once like an offer for something. They were like, dude, I'll pay you. And it was like a ridiculous amount of Colombian pesos. And I looked it up and it was like $150. I was like, what? No way.
It's funny. You can sound like you're rich in Colombian pesos.
Yeah.
I can say that I have billions. I'm a billionaire in Colombia.
It's unfortunate, but it's true.
All right. So daily is putting in also bullish divergence on the peso. On the daily, it's a little easier to confirm, although it's still kind of difficult. You got to close over about 34.27. Probably not going to do that anytime soon. And daily, it's also giving you a fresh sell signal. Who says Elon Musk is the first trillionaire? Check out Colombia.
Oh, there's gonna well, imagine how much money Elon Musk has in Colombian pesos. He would end the supply, by the way.
No more pesos.
No more pesos for anyone else.
That'd be the short squeeze that never stops squeezing, because he holds all the supply. Pretty sure that's illegal somehow. 4 hour flipping up, 4 hours putting in possibility for hidden bearish divergence now, and it's very close to confirming. This will confirm with any close below 33.59, then that gives you a move down to somewhere around 33.15, 33.10, same number as before. But from that region, I would look for a bounce because you're going to be getting to the weekly 100% range. Do we know if they've shorted this or if they want to short it?
I don't know if they want to short it. They're asking if it's going to just go down more.
All right, let me ask my crystal ball here real quick. Crystal ball says probably going to continue going down a little bit. You got some bearish divergence here on the 6 month. You have hit the easy target, but which is the neutral zone. Actually, you're kind of close to it, close enough. And the neutral zone is at around 38. Actually, no, it's right. 32.83. I am mixing these two numbers up. A little dyslexia action there. Quarterly is already also basically at the critical zone. Critical zone is at currently 3,000. 3,028. Nothing there. 2 week is putting in possibility of bullish divergence. You do currently have hidden bearish divergence active. You have hit the easy target, which is the simple moving average. It's going to be a little difficult to confirm this bullish divergence. You got to close over about 38.13. And as of now, your next target is going to be the critical zone, which currently sits around 3,000. Weekly's also got hidden bearish divergence, also putting in possibility of bullish divergence. Your next target on that is going to be about 3,000. 5 days also got hidden bearish divergence. Next target is going to be about 3,000. Nothing. Daily's got a local top that would target 33.15, right around your weekly 100%. 4 hour also targets 33.15, the simple moving average. Alrighty, 6 month is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 43.28. You are putting in possibility for hidden bullish divergence, though, and once that does confirm, this is likely going to send this up to new all-time highs. Quarterly also currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 37.13. Monthly is also flipped down as long as you're closing below 34.80. 12-week is also flipped down as long as you're closing below 33.64, which is very close to flipping back up. Weekly is also flipped down. It's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 35.50 with volatility getting a little high. 5 days also flipped down as long as you're closing below 34.30. 2 days flip down, very close to flipping up, and it will flip up if it's with a close over 33.69. Nice number. Daily is flipped down, and but it will flip back up with a close over 33.67, 33.66.58. And 4 hours flip down, but will flip back up with a close over 33.50, 33.55.78, getting closer and closer to the pivot. And hourly is freshly flipped down as long as you're closing below 33.55. So basically the same idea that this is probably going to come down to somewhere around 33.15 and to 33.10. Somewhere around that region is likely going to give you a bounce, mainly because you're getting past the 100% range on the weekly, which is very unlikely to close below. Statistically have a 100% chance range of closing above that region, but I do think it's going to go lower eventually towards that next RSI target of somewhere around 3,000. But from that region, I do think it's going to bounce, and then eventually you're going to put in your 6 month and quarterly hidden bullish divergences, and then that'll send you up to some nice new all-time highs. Just current all-time highs would be a pretty significant move up from 3,000. That's like 5,000. So if you were to take it from this 3,000 region, this would also be right around the monthly 100 EMA as it continues to rise. Just that is a 71% gain, not bad. And with your quarterly and 6 month hidden bullish divergence, it's likely going to do a little bit more than that. Let's just draw this just for funsies, and let's take it from this last macro low. Actually, take it from this one. Okay, let's ignore that for now. It's a little too crazy. Let's do a little smaller one. Let's do it from this one to this one. We had our current rejection at the golden bucket, around 6,200. Nice $1,000 over our current all-time, or nice 1,000 pesos over our current all-time highs. But as of now, slightly lower, but then you're probably going to see a little bit of a bounce. That bounce likely does go a little bit lower, sweep before you end up getting your reversal somewhere around this monthly 100 EMA, somewhere around 3,000, I think it'll be, and then from there, probably this is going to go to new all-time highs for the dollar versus the Colombian peso.
Got it. Thank you.
I do think if you were to short this, though, he'd be shorting the bottom.
Yeah. No, and it's like the relation with the dollar and the peso, right? Like it's already pretty punished. So it should, like, it will go back and bounce up. But this is like having a strong currency for these countries is detrimental to them because most of their money, like in, I don't know how much you know about this, but in Mexico, a lot of the GDP comes from Mexicans that live in the U.S. sending money back to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So if the dollar is worth less, they have less money in Mexico. That's what happens in Argentina too. So if their currency gains strength, they're making less money. And the same thing happens in Colombia. A lot of people in Colombia receive their salaries in US dollars, right? Because the currency is so destroyed and they're making less money.
So it's bad for them, their economies.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird because it's bad for them either way.
They're just fucked either way.
Yeah. Terrible news. Okay, I'll do this one. And then Alex will finish with oil. Do you think it's a long opportunity or not? That'll be that. Ok, el peso colombiano con volatilidad expandiendo. La volatilidad expandiendo el peso colombiano viene desde acá. Debería de continuar empujando a esta zona donde está tu promedio del 100 para después rebotar e ir a buscar un nuevo alto histórico en dólares en contra del peso colombiano. Entonces, para que lo tengas claro, en corta temporalidad, por ejemplo, la mensual, vas a venir a testear tu promedio del 200 una vez más, tal cual como lo hiciste en el 2008. Después caíste por acá por muchísimo tiempo, pero no esperaríamos que lo rompas, simplemente que vengas, retestees y de ahí te puedas ir para arriba de vuelta. Eso es lo que dicen las tablas hasta ahorita. Vamos a cerrar con petróleo y nos vamos a ir a la chingada todos. Tengo una boda que se casa el gran Sergio Chávez, así que ahí tengo que estar al pendiente, mis hermanos. All right, we're ready for some oil.
All right, perfect.
Some oils.
Let me share that. And let's see, is it a long or a short? And let's
They're
see.
looking for, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you say it, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now it's just looking like a short. It's looking like you're waiting for that weekly SMA 200. That's going to be your big decision point. Because remember, we were at some pretty big SMA 200s, weekly, daily, monthly. And so as long as you're under the weekly, that means you're under the monthly. And that just means that this is more bearish then. But understand that, well, please stop. Understand that you haven't gotten any kind of retest. So if you are trying to trade this right here is not really an easy long or a short, more likely to move up, retest this. And then that's where you can short and you can have your stop at like 78.20. Only way to long oil again is same criteria we had here. You just need to reclaim the weekly SMA 200 and then hold it, and that'll become a long. But yeah, first glance, this isn't more of a short territory if you're patient enough to actually wait for that.
Thank you, señor. Entiendo por qué ustedes lo ven como long. Yo también diría eso, ¿no? Por el nivel en el que está, que no está perdiéndose. Pero si estás debajo del SMI 200 semanal por segunda semana consecutiva y el SMI 200 semanal es importante, entonces tiene más cara como de corto que cualquier cosa si tienes paciencia y llega a los $72. Y ahí, ¿cómo lo invalidarías? $72. No, y no lo has venido a retestear tampoco en la diaria, ¿eh? Y eso sería un problema porque si la semanal sube acá, ¿dónde lo invalidas? En 73.20. El corto, si es que te lo llega a dar en el SMA 200 semanal. Espérame. ¿Qué chingados estaba viendo entonces? No, el SMA 200 semanal está aquí arriba, está más arriba que el diario. Ok, bien. Y tu invalidación estaría aquí en los 78 con esta vela. Entonces sería tu entrada en el SMA semanal del 200 que está en 74.69 y con una invalidación aquí arriba en 78. Por ahora, tiene más cara de que es bajista que alcista. Punto. Es básicamente todo. No ha subido ni bajado el Bitcoin. No ha hecho nada. All right. Is there anything you boys like to say before we go?
Just watch the weekly SMA 200 on Bitcoin. I guess that'll just be the big focus into the new weekly next week. And yeah, the battle keeps continuing for bulls and bears. If we do get back above the weekly SMA 200, that'll be our first major sign that the bottom is in, and we're in a weekly SFP play. until then, we have to be a little cautious of that, not reclaiming and rejecting. We have not even hit it quite yet. So really watch the weekly SMA 200.
Yeah, same for me. Best case scenario I'm seeing is a rejection from there, and then maybe a higher low at 60,000. Worst case, more realistic scenario, that's when you get your sweep of these 57 or 58, whatever it is, lows.
Okay. Perfecto. Well, you boys enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. I'm going to a wedding with a broken foot, so let's see how that goes.
Muchas gracias. Have a good time, senor.
Thank you.
Disfruten tu boda.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, boys.
Buenas tardes and hasta
Thank
luego,
you.
cabrones.
Hasta luego.
Go out.
Ok. Perdón, mi vieja me está chingue y jode en mensajes. Es el petróleo por este momento. La relación, ¿qué es más importante? ¿La relación de Solana Bitcoin o la relación de Solana USD? Para mí, ahora, el problema de todas las monedas, de todas las alts, y esto es algo que todo el mundo tiene que entender, no puedes relacionar esto cada año de la misma forma. No puedes, porque está en una perpetua. Recuerda que estas monedas como Solana, Ethereum ya no, XRP, todas son inflacionarias. Si me vas a venir a contar la historia de XRP de que no lo es, pero son los unlocks, me vale verga. Es inflacionaria porque hay más supply cada año, da igual. Eso quiere decir que cada año vas a ver esta tendencia bajista. Entonces, yo voy a usar y me voy a regir fervientemente en esto, Nel. Yo prefiero Solana contra el dólar y ya. Pero ese soy yo. A Alex le pone mucha atención a Solana Bitcoin. Yo no. Y, por ejemplo, aquí está XRP Bitcoin también, ¿no? Que siguen una tendencia bajista. Lo mismo. Ethereum Bitcoin también está en una tendencia bajista, aunque ya hizo mínimos, parece, en abril del 2025 y está haciendo un bajo más alto. Habíamos dicho que venía esta zona. Pero para mí yo no uso esto para tradearlo. Estoy tradeando dólares, ¿no? No estoy tradeando Bitcoin en contra de Solana ni tampoco en contra de Ethereum. Son literalmente números. Entonces, para mí es eso. Pues bienvenido, mi queridísimo usuario 177-499-0402. Ok, y con eso lo tienen. Tío, pero la tabla de Solana dice que perdimos el 200 en la diaria. Una semana no lo hemos vuelto a retestear. ¿No podría darnos ese catapultazo a la baja? Ahora, cuando tenemos señales y confirmaciones alcistas, también tienes movimientos fuertes a la baja, como en octubre del 2000, ¿no? Octubre, déjeme voy al índice. Puta madre, en indicadores. No, aquí está. En octubre del 2023, lo puedo ver en la tabla y sé perfectamente cuándo es. Agosto, septiembre, diciembre, es esto. Ok. En octubre del 2023, ya que estábamos en camino para arriba, nos dio un bajoncito el buen Bitcoin por acá. Espérame, ¿dónde vergas estás? Ya estar por acá. Ahí está. En octubre del 2023, recuperaste acá, ¿no? Estábamos aquí por ahí de los 30, nos dieron lo de jamás, bajó, dio un mechazo por acá a los 29, un pedo así, y después catapultó. Estas madres les gusta hacer eso. Cuando también cuando ves fondos, esto es lo que le gusta hacer a Bitcoin, ¿no? Que baja más antes de subir, baja más antes de subir. Entendido, y entiendo por qué estás volteando a ver que Solana vaya a dar un mechazo para abajo. El pedo de esto es en mi opinión, la divergencia alcista que tienes en la semanal en Solana. esta divergencia alcista que ya está confirmada por el cierre que tienes en precio, ¿no? Porque ya estás muy por encima de la confirmación. A menos de que en 2 días Solana caiga por debajo de $72, literalmente tienes de aquí al domingo a que caiga debajo de $72 y que cierre por debajo de esos $72. Esto ya está básicamente confirmado. Después de confirmar, lo que Solana probablemente haga es esto para irse para arriba. Porque lo que normalmente confirma estas señales es cuando haces ya un bajo más alto. Eventualmente dejan de hacer bajos más bajos y confirman bajos más altos. Y es justo lo que yo creo está. Y no sé por qué Solana, ¿eh? No tengo ni puta idea. Pero también Ethereum trae fuerza. Ethereum te dio ¿cómo se llama? Divergencia alcista semanal, pero no tan poderosa. De esta a esta semana. El bajo más bajo fue este y acá pues no habías bajado tanto. ¿No? Entonces, Ethereum, lo único que tienes que hacer en Ethereum para que confirmes esa divergencia alcista semanal es llevarte esto, los 1848. Se va para arriba. No entiendo por qué o qué esté pasando, ¿eh? Simplemente yo espero el pompazo de Bitcoin basado en el ciclo del 2018 que pasó lo mismo. El pedo de eso es que activa la divergencia semanal y la de 2 semanas alcista en Bitcoin. Y eso normalmente nos ha marcado fondos. Una vez más, hasta que no se dé, ponte tú que mañana digan, güey, no mames, el ano de Donald Trump explotó y tengan que todo cae por alguna razón relacionado con el ano de Donald Trump explotando, todo cae. No hay nada aquí que nos haya dicho, ya está marcado. El único que ya lo tiene marcado, en mi punto de vista, el fondo es Solana. Es el único que ya tiene la palomita. Una vez más, no sé por qué. Pero el ver cuánto ha pompeado MicroStrategy y todo esto, simplemente estoy buscando esa confirmación semanal. Si me da el bajo más alto. Ahora, puede repetirse una vez más el ciclo del 2018 igualito. Y la gente que dice que no hemos tocado fondo tiene razón, porque lo que puede ocurrir es esto. Estamos acá, ¿no? Lo pueden ver perfectamente. Déjenme quito esta chingadera. Estamos aquí, en esto. Los cierres te los dio en 61,000, no en 6,100, pero para nosotros son 61. Tienes el pompazo, ¿cuántas semanas se tardó? Se quedó ahí abajo 2. Esta es la segunda semana, va a cerrar más o menos por acá comparado con la pasada. La tercera te va a dar el pompazo, cuarta te lo va a quitar, la quinta es la que te lleva para arriba y la sexta. Son 2 semanas literalmente de subida y esas semanas te dan este gran pompazo, ¿no? Si esto se da y Bitcoin llega a punto a 70, 80 mil dólares de vuelta, ahí existe la probabilidad de que vuelvas a caer, hagas esto, no tengas mínimos nuevos, todo el mundo diga, güey, ya fue el fondo y hay pito, güey. Si estás siguiendo este escenario tal cual, pero por ejemplo, lo que no es que me preocupe, lo que tengo yo que ver relativo a esto es si ya pusimos esas divergencias alcistas en el 2021, ahorita, como las del 2022 que nos marcaron el fondo, como las de los 2024 que nos marcó el fondo de los aranceles y ¿sí fue los aranceles? No, fue la del carry trade de Japón, según esto. Si ya tenemos esas divergencias alcistas en Bitcoin, vamos a tener un chance grande de un movimiento fuerte para arriba, fuerte. No estoy siendo altos históricos, no, porque también, vean esto, y una vez más, solamente para darles un poco de contexto, ¿no? Estos mínimos juntaron con estos mínimos, tal cual como lo hicimos ahorita, ¿no? Que les dije, güey, no te vas a aguantar el mínimo y te lo vas a llevar. Ahorita aguantó y se va para acá arriba. Y nos da este pompazo hasta acá, ¿no? Es básicamente esto de donde estoy hablando, de aquí. Y de ahí vieron que cayó, nunca hizo un nuevo mínimo hasta literalmente noviembre. Pum, nuevo mínimo. Y en diciembre, en el noviembre se dio otro putazo a la baja y encontró fondo en diciembre, ¿no? Este sería el escenario al que yo más fe le tengo. Mi pedo es con la divergencia alcista que tenemos. Y una vez más, esto es lo que yo voy a estar esperando. Pero con la divergencia alcista que tenemos ahorita en juego, si esa divergencia alcista confirma, yo imaginaría que esta chingadera viene mínimo acá, ¿no? Si hace esto y ahorita en julio, ¡pum!, se acaba aquí o por ahí de agosto y veo que cae, pues güey, sé que vamos a poder comprar mucho más abajo en noviembre, diciembre. Tendría sentido. Pero si este pompazo continúa a la alza y se lleva a los 98 y se lleva primero los 82 para arriba, va a haber un punto por aquí, no sé si sea aquí, acá, donde en mi opinión va a pasar lo mismo que ocurrió donde para mí va a pasar lo mismo que ocurrió el último año. Recuerda que estos pumps de julio, ahorita, a octubre, puede llevarte a básicamente altos históricos. No hay nada que te diga que no. Y si eso llega a pasar, también en noviembre, diciembre, puedes tener la caída más fuerte que has visto en toda la historia de Bitcoin, ponte tú, y que te lleve algo así. Pero esto es el caso si después de agosto seguimos subiendo. Si después de agosto seguimos subiendo, yo voy a estar viendo este escenario para vender. ¿Y cuándo voy a vender? No sé, güey. Tengo que ver exactamente cuál es la narrativa que están creando y que están cocinando para todas estas pendejadas. Y cómo está el pensamiento de la gente. Simplemente no tengo ni puta idea. Pero por ahora, lo único que podemos hacer es esto. Por más que tengamos esas divergencias bajistas en juego, alcistas en juego, etcétera, sería tonto ignorar algo que ha estado pasando uno a uno y que mínimo nos va a tocar ver esto hasta acá. Y ahí la pregunta va a ser, pero ¿cuándo fue esto? A ver, el 18 de junio a el 23 de julio. Ok, déjame lo veo con Ethereum, que es la única moneda que teníamos en ese entonces. ¿Cuándo fue? El 18 de junio, abril, mayo, junio. Ok. Para que tengan una idea, el periodo que estamos viendo en Bitcoin ahí fue en Ethereum, 18 de junio al hizo esto. Consolidó para después caer. Si ahorita las altcoins se ponen alcistas, es lo contrario que pasó aquí. Sería lo opuesto. Y, y yo creo la única manera de medirlo correctamente sería con Ethereum. Porque si lo comparo, no podemos poner a Solana en esto, ¿no? ¿Por qué vamos a meter a Solana en esta ecuación cuando no existía en ese entonces, tío? Solana empezó a existir en junio del 2021, que fue literalmente cuando cayó la dominancia de Bitcoin y vieron a Solana ser de aquí. La caída de la dominancia de Bitcoin fue esto. No sé. Simplemente ahorita voy a seguirle haciendo caso al ciclo de 4 años del 2018. Si veo, se confirman las divergencias alcistas y tenemos un pompazo. Si el pompazo es rápido y fuerte, güey, a buscar vender, ¿eh? No, no se me vayan a quedar de a huevo, agarramos el superciclo. Y sobre todo si te dicen que viene el superciclo y que este es el superciclo. Esa va a ser la trampa mortal de este pedo. Eso querría decir que efectivamente la gran caída que hemos estado esperando va a venir antes que después. Y tiene que ver con el dólar. Tendríamos que esperar a ver eso. Si nos vamos simplemente de lado y hacemos 2018, güey, es lo que es. Lo que yo no creo es que caigamos tanto como en el 2018, por ejemplo, ¿no? Si nuestros movimientos para arriba no son nada comparados con esos, ni tampoco para abajo. Entonces yo seguiría esperando mis mismos objetivos en Bitcoin que les había dicho antes. Y todo seguiría de acuerdo al plan. No habría sorpresas. Para mí es ridículo que pensemos que vamos a caer muchísimo comparado con los ciclos pasados ahorita. No tendría nada de sentido, porque simplemente no hay esa debilidad en el mercado en general. No la hay. No la hay. Lo que hay es falta de interés en cripto y normalmente eso es más alcista que bajista. Y, y ya, y sobre todo viendo strategy como, una vez más, te ponen las noticias, no negativas, y te dicen, güey, strategy va a quebrar y va a vender 1,000,000,000 de bitcoins y la verga. Y no pasa, esto pasa cada fin de ciclo, cada fondo de ciclo de Bitcoin. No sé, lo siento, pero a mí no me huele eso a que es lo que va a ser. A mí me huele que la trampa más real y más fuerte de todas sería que suba antes de bajar culeramente. Y que baje culeramente. O sea, nuestros objetivos se volverían de chocolate y pondríamos más abajo. Porque estarías hablando de ahora sí un pedo estilo 2008. Imagínate Bitcoin en el 2008. Eso no sería divertido para nadie. ¿Ok? A ver, ¿qué chingados quiere Belén? Ah. Me mandó Farhan un tweet ahorita de que Hunter Biden, el hijo de Joe Biden, mandó un tweet que dice que quiere nominar a Donald Trump por el premio, ¿cómo se dice? Noble a la paz, The Nobel Prize, el premio Nobel de la paz. Y la razón por qué es porque ha acabado con la guerra con Irán 38 veces. No solo una, 38 veces. Ah, pero bueno, es lo que estoy viendo. Si pompeamos ahorita, eso sería la anomalía y ahí es donde queremos salirnos temprano. No queremos estar ahí para comernos el bajo, no, 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 que va a haber. Y si nos salimos en ese entonces, vamos a regresar a comprar exactamente lo mismo en el mismo estilo. Punto. Y eso tendría sentido para mí. Si ahorita solamente tenemos un pump a 70 y cacho, ¿no? O menos, a 65, y no podemos superar eso de aquí a fin de julio, empezando agosto. Sabemos que hay algo, que la tabla es similar a la del 2018 y va a haber la caída después a fin de año. ¿Y qué es lo que voy a hacer? ¿Voy a vender todo? No, güey, voy a agregar, ¿no? Todavía me faltan las partes que quiero poner, todavía faltan, tengo que tener paciencia. Si tengo la subida, voy a tener la habilidad de vender para comprar más bajo. Pero si no, solamente voy a agregar. Y es como creo que se debería manejar esto de la mejor forma. A ver. Que Cardano subió la misma cantidad que Bitcoin, 7%. Pobre gente en Cardano, güey. Ahora, ¿Cardano puede sorprender a todo el mundo? Yo creo que sí. Yo creo que sí. Eso quiere decir que voy a comprar Cardano, no. Pero es por esto. Si Cardano aguanta este piso, puede sorprender. Que Cardano ha tenido el mismo pump que Bitcoin fue. No, güey, Cardano ha subido 21%. Más. Cardano ha subido más que Bitcoin y más que Ethereum. Ojo, ojo. 27%. Cardano le parte la madre a todo mi portafolio menos a Solana. Déjame, pongo el RSI a ver si tenemos. ¿Cuál es el mínimo del mínimo en el RSI? Este. Bueno, también Cardano llegó al mínimo del mínimo en el RSI, ¿eh? Y obviamente tienes un bajo más alto. Divergencia alcista literalmente confirmada arriba de esto. A ver, un segundo. El pedo de esto es que le vas a tener que meter chido para que te haga cualquier tipo de retorno interesante. Deme un segundo. Si para un 6X normal, que ya estaría cabrón, sí le tienes que meter rico, ¿no? No le vas a meter $1,000 y te vas a hacer rico. 1,600%. ¿Va a llegar a altos históricos? No sé. Pero Cardano tiene cara que, o sea, güey, está ganándole a todos menos a Solana. Qué locura. Qué locura. Ya, ahora sí. Me voy. Gracias a todos. Les mando un fuerte abrazo. Pórtense bien. Nos vemos el lunes, ¿ok? Y por favor, si ustedes viven en Estados Unidos también como yo, no vayan y se vuelen la mano con cohetes. No hagan lo que Jason Pierre-Paul hizo en mis tiempos, ¿ok? Les mando un abrazo con cuidado. Pórtense bien.